If you're listening to this as you fall asleep, that's exactly why I make these videos. If you'd like, consider subscribing and let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. I always read the comments, and it's genuinely fascinating to see people all over the world drifting off to the same questions about our shared past. You're lying in bed right now, eyes closed, maybe half asleep already. Your mind is drifting. Images flash behind your eyelids. Random scenes. Memories mixed with nonsense. A conversation from yesterday. A place you've never been. Your childhood dog running through a building that doesn't exist. This is dreaming. You do it every night. You've done it your whole life. So automatic you barely think about it. But here's the thing. This nightly journey into impossible worlds, this theatre of the absurd that plays in your skull while you sleep, is one of the strangest things humans do. And we have no idea why. We spend roughly 6 years of our lives dreaming. 6 full years watching movies that make no sense, following plots with no logic, experiencing emotions about things that never happened. And the question nobody can answer is simple. Why? Why does your brain do this? What possible purpose could it serve to spend a third of your sleep time hallucinating elaborate nonsense? To feel genuine fear about threats that don't exist? To have conversations with people who aren't there? Evolution doesn't keep expensive habits around for no reason. And dreaming is expensive. Your brain uses almost as much energy during REM sleep as it does when you're awake. That's a massive cost. For what? For stories you mostly forget by breakfast. There are theories, lots of them. Memory consolidation, emotional processing, threat simulation, problem solving. Maybe dreams help you practice for dangers you might face. Maybe they sort through the day's experiences and file them away. Maybe they're just random noise, your brain's screensaver, meaningless static. But nobody knows for sure. And if we can't figure out why modern humans dream, with all our brain scans and sleep labs and decades of research, how are we supposed to know what ancient humans dreamed about? People who lived 50,000 years ago, or 100,000, or 200,000. People who left no written records, no dream journals, no art that clearly shows what happened in their sleep. We can dig up their bones. We can find their tools. We can analyze their DNA. But we can't excavate a dream. So when you ask what early humans dreamed about at night, you're asking something that should be impossible to answer. Dreams don't fossilize. They don't leave artifacts. They vanish the moment you wake up. And yet, we can make some educated guesses. We can look at what we know about how brains work, about what dreams do, about the lives those ancient people lived. We can piece together clues from neuroscience, from anthropology, from the few remaining hunter-gatherer cultures, from our own dreams. We can't know for certain. We'll never know for certain. But we can wonder. We can explore the question. We can follow the evidence as far as it goes, and then let our imaginations fill in the rest. Because the question matters. What early humans dreamed about tells us something about what it means to be human, about when we became fully us, about the inner lives of people who lived impossibly long ago. So let's try to answer the impossible question. Let's venture into the sleep of our ancestors. Let's see if we can glimpse what played behind their closed eyes when the fires burned low and the night sounds filled the darkness. Here's what we know for certain. Early humans dreamed. Not probably. Not maybe. They did. We can say this with confidence because dreaming isn't something humans invented. It's something we inherited, something much older than our species. Every mammal dreams. Your dog dreams. Watch him sleep sometime. His paws twitch, his eyes move, under closed lids. Little whimpers and growls. He's chasing something in his sleep, or running from something, having experiences that aren't happening. Cats dream, rats dream, elephants dream, even platypuses dream, which is wild because they're about as weird as mammals get. The point is this: dreaming showed up early in mammal evolution, probably around 140 million years ago, long before humans existed, long before primates existed, long before anything that looked remotely like us walked the earth. So when the first humans appeared, whenever that was, they came pre-installed with the ability to dream. It was already in the hardware, built into the mammalian brain like breathing or hunger. But here's where it gets interesting. Human dreaming is different. Not completely different. The basic mechanics are the same. We have REM sleep like other mammals, rapid eye movement, the stage where most vivid dreams happen. Our eyes dart around under closed lids. Our brains light up with activity. Our bodies go temporarily paralyzed so we don't act out what we're experiencing. All mammals do this, but humans do it more, a lot more. Adult humans spend about 20 to 25% of sleep in REM. That's roughly 2 hours every night. Cats spend about 15%. Dogs about 10%. And here's the really striking part. Human newborns spend 50% of their sleep in REM. Half their sleep time is dreaming. Why? Nobody knows for sure. But it suggests something important is happening. Something developmental. Something that builds the human brain in ways that don't happen in other species. And there's more. Human dreams are different in content, more complex, more narrative, more symbolic. When researchers study animal dreams, they see replay. A rat runs a maze during the day. At night, the same neurons fire in the same sequence. The rat is running the maze again in sleep. Practicing, consolidating the memory. Dogs probably dream about dog things, chasing, playing, eating. Direct replays of experiences they've had. But human dreams are weird. You dream about things that never happened. You dream in metaphor. You dream in symbol. You have conversations with people who are dead or who never existed. You visit places that aren't real. You experience emotions about situations that make no logical sense. This is different. This is something new. And it probably showed up when humans became fully human. Whenever that was. Which brings us to the hard question. When did human dreaming become human dreaming? When did dreams stop being simple replays and start being the bizarre symbolic narratives we experience now? We don't know exactly. But we can make some guesses based on brain anatomy. The parts of the brain most active during dreaming are the limbic system and the visual cortex. Emotions and images. These are ancient structures. Every mammal has them. But humans also have a massive prefrontal cortex, the part that does abstract thinking, planning, symbolic thought. And here's the thing. During REM sleep, the prefrontal cortex goes quiet. It's still active, but less than usual. Meanwhile, the limbic system goes into overdrive. This creates the dream state, emotions running wild, images flooding in, but the logical, rational part of your brain is dimmed. That's why dreams feel real while you're in them. Your reality checking system is offline. You accept impossible things without question. So when did this pattern emerge? When did human brains get big enough and complex enough to generate the kind of dreams we have now? The answer's probably around 200,000 years ago, maybe earlier. That's when humans who looked exactly like us appeared. Same brain size, same brain structure. The hardware was in place. But having the hardware doesn't mean they used it the same way. And this is where things get murky. For most of human history, we didn't leave much evidence of symbolic thought, the kind of thinking that shows up in dreams, abstract ideas, metaphors, stories. The first clear evidence of symbolic behavior shows up around 70,000 to 100,000 years ago. Beads made from shells, ochre used for body decoration, geometric patterns carved into rocks. These things suggest a mind that thinks symbolically, that sees meaning in objects beyond their practical use. Before that, hard to say. The brains were there, the capacity was there, but we don't see much evidence of it being used. Some researchers think this means early humans didn't think symbolically, didn't have culture, didn't have language as we know it, and if that's true, maybe their dreams were simpler too, more like animal dreams, direct replays of the day's experiences. Others think the capacity was always there. We just don't see evidence of it because symbolic behavior doesn't always leave artifacts. Songs don't fossilize, stories don't survive, body paint washes away. Maybe early humans were fully symbolic thinkers from the start. Maybe they told stories and sang songs and painted their bodies and dreamed complex dreams. We just can't see it in the archaeological record. The truth is probably somewhere in between. The capacity for symbolic dreaming showed up gradually. As human culture developed, dreams became more complex, more abstract, more strange. But even if early human dreams were simpler than ours, they were still dreams, still experiences that happened in sleep, still images and emotions and sensations that felt real while they lasted. And we can say something else with confidence. Early humans remembered their dreams, paid attention to them, thought about them when they woke up. How do we know this? Because every human culture we've ever studied treats dreams as meaningful. Every single one. From the most isolated hunter-gatherer tribes to the most complex civilizations. Everywhere humans exist, dreams matter. The Aborigines of Australia believe dreams are how you access the dream time, the eternal realm where ancestors and spirits exist. Dreams aren't just random images, they're visits to another reality. Many Native American cultures see dreams as messages, guidance from spirits, visions that show the future or reveal hidden truths. Young people go on vision quests specifically to have meaningful dreams. Ancient Egyptians built temples for dream incubation, special places where you'd sleep hoping for a dream from the gods. They wrote down their dreams, interpreted them, used them to make decisions. The ancient Greeks did the same thing. Temples of Asclepius where sick people would sleep and hope for healing dreams. Dreams were taken seriously, recorded, analysed. This pattern is universal, which suggests it's ancient, probably as old as human culture itself. Early humans almost certainly talked about their dreams, shared them with each other, tried to understand them, gave them meaning. Because here's the thing about dreams, they demand interpretation, they feel significant even when they make no sense. You wake up from a vivid dream and you can't shake the feeling that it meant something, that it was trying to tell you something. This is probably hardwired. The same way we're hardwired to see patterns, to find meaning, to create stories. Early humans had this same drive. They woke from dreams and felt that pull, that need to understand. And because they didn't have scientific explanations for dreams, they created spiritual ones. Dreams became messages from ancestors, warnings from spirits, visits to other realms, prophecies of things to come, and maybe they were right in a way, not literally. Dreams probably aren't messages from spirits, but they are messages from your unconscious mind, from parts of yourself you can't access while awake. They reveal fears and desires and memories you didn't know you had. Early humans understood this intuitively. They knew dreams showed you things you couldn't see otherwise, truths about yourself and your world that stayed hidden during the day. So they paid attention, they shared their dreams, they used them to make decisions, to understand their place in the world, to connect with something larger than themselves. This is what we can say for certain. Early humans dreamed. They remembered those dreams. They talked about them. They gave them meaning. The specific content of those dreams, that's harder to pin down. But we're not completely in the dark. We have clues, evidence from neuroscience and anthropology, and the study of modern hunter-gatherers. We can piece together a picture. Not perfect, not complete, but something. A glimpse into the inner lives of people who lived impossibly long ago. And that's where we're headed next. Into the actual content of those ancient dreams. What images flickered behind closed eyes when the first humans slept? What stories played out in their minds? What emotions did they feel about things that weren't real? We're about to take our best guess at the impossible, to venture into dreams that vanished 100,000 years ago, to see what we can see in that ancient darkness. There's something perfect about that. People all over the world, different time zones, different lives, but all wondering the same things. What did early humans dream about? What flickered behind their closed eyes? What stories played out in the darkness? We're trying to see the invisible together, to imagine what can't be known for certain. And if you fall asleep before we figure it out, that's fine. That's the point. Let the questions carry you wherever they carry you. So what did they actually dream about? We know they dreamed. The brain was there. The REM sleep happened. But what played out behind those closed eyes? This is where we move from certainty to educated guessing. From what we can prove to what we can imagine based on everything we know about how brains work and what early human life was like. Start with the obvious. Dreams pulled from daily life. Your brain processes what happened during the day. It sorts memories, strengthens important connections, discards useless details. Modern humans dream about their daily experiences. You dream about work, about people you saw, about problems you're trying to solve. The content changes, but the source stays the same. Your waking life feeds your sleeping mind. Early humans probably worked the same way. Their brains had the same structure, the same sleep cycles, the same memory processing systems. So their dreams likely drew from what filled their days. What filled their days? Hunting, gathering, walking, long stretches of sitting around, fire, other people, animals, weather, the landscape, dangers, food, children, the group. These weren't abstract concepts, these were immediate physical realities: touch, smell, sound, movement, survival. Think about a hunter tracking an antelope. He follows it for hours, reads the prints, watches how it moves, studies its behavior, his whole attention focused on this one animal. That night he probably dreams about antelope. His brain replays the hunt, practices the movements, processes what he learned. The dream antelope might do impossible things, might lead him to places that don't exist. But it starts from the real antelope, from the actual experience. Or consider someone gathering plants. She knows which ones are safe, which ones make you sick. She's learned this over years, seen what happens when someone eats the wrong thing. Her dreams might feature plants, strange hybrid plants that don't exist, plants that talk or move. But the raw material comes from real plants, from knowledge that matters for survival. This is how dreams work. They take reality and remix it, combine elements in new ways, create scenarios that never happened but feel real while you're in them. So early human dreams probably felt familiar and strange at the same time. Like dreams do now, recognizable elements in impossible combinations. The fire you sat beside becomes a living thing. The cave walls move, animals speak, the dead appear alive, you fly, you run but can't move. You're hunting something that keeps changing shape. The content comes from daily life. But dreams don't just replay events, they transform them, create new meanings, generate scenarios your waking mind would never produce. Here's what matters. Early human daily life was more physical than ours, more sensory, more immediate. They touched more things, smelled more smells, felt temperature changes constantly, heard natural sounds all day and night. Their dreams probably reflected this, rich sensory detail, physical sensations, movement through space, the feel of things. Modern humans who live closer to nature report more vivid sensory dreams. Hunter-gatherer societies studied by anthropologists describe dreams filled with animals, landscapes, weather, physical challenges. The Kung people of the Kalahari dream about hunting, about finding water, about conflicts within the group, about animals and spirits. Their dreams reflect what matters in their lives. Early humans probably had similar patterns. Dreams about the hunt, about finding food, about danger, about other people in the group, about the landscape they moved through. But here's where it gets interesting. Daily life doesn't just mean practical activities, it also means social life. And early human social life was everything. You lived with the same 25 to 50 people all the time, every day, every night. You knew them completely. Their moods, their habits, their relationships, their place in the group. This mattered more than anything else. Your survival depended on the group, on cooperation, on reading social signals, on maintaining relationships, on knowing who to trust. So dreams probably featured people, lots of people, social scenarios, conflicts, alliances, fears about rejection, desires for connection. Modern dreams are full of people, social, anxiety dreams, dreams about arguments, dreams about attraction, dreams where you're trying to communicate but can't, dreams about being excluded or accepted. These dreams process social information, help you understand relationships, work through conflicts, predict how others might behave. Early humans needed this even more. Social intelligence was survival. Reading people correctly meant staying alive. Missing social cues could get you excluded from the group, and exclusion meant death. Their dreams probably helped process social information, replayed into actions, explored possibilities, generated scenarios. What if this person is angry? What if that alliance breaks? What if I'm pushed out? Dreams let you practice social situations without real consequences. Your brain runs simulations, tests responses, builds models of other people's minds. This happens now. It probably happened then. Maybe even more intensely because social stakes were higher. Everything depended on the group, so picture an early human dreaming. The dream includes people from the group. Maybe they're doing something that happened during the day, but transformed, exaggerated, combined with other memories. Someone who shared food becomes a hero. Someone who refused becomes a monster. The dream plays out fears and hopes about social position, about belonging, about being valued or rejected. These aren't abstract psychological concepts. They're immediate survival concerns translated into dream imagery. Children appear in dreams too. Early humans had children. cared for them intensely, worried about them constantly. Infant mortality was high. Danger was everywhere. Keeping children alive required constant vigilance. Dreams probably reflected this. Anxiety dreams about children in danger. Relief dreams about children thriving. The mind processing the enormous emotional weight of parenthood in an unforgiving world. And what about the landscape? Early humans moved through territory. They knew intimately every water source, every shelter, every dangerous spot, every good hunting ground. This knowledge was survival. Getting lost meant death. Forgetting where water was meant death. Not knowing the terrain meant walking into danger. Dreams might have helped encode this information. Your brain mapping the landscape, replaying journeys, strengthening memories of important places, creating mental maps you could access when needed. Modern people who navigate complex environments report dreaming about routes and locations. Taxi drivers dream about streets. Pilots dream about flying. Your brain practices what matters. Early humans whose lives depended on knowing the land probably dreamed about it constantly. Walked dream paths, visited dream locations, their sleeping mind reinforcing crucial spatial knowledge. Weather mattered too. Rain, drought, cold, heat. These weren't inconveniences, they were life and death factors. Too much rain floods shelters. Too little rain means no water. Cold kills. Heat exhausts. Dreams about weather, about storms coming, about finding shelter, about being caught in the open. The brain processing environmental threats, preparing responses, building scenarios. Animals filled the dreamscape too. Not just prey animals, predators, dangerous animals, lions, hyenas, snakes, things that could kill you. Your brain needed to stay alert to these dangers. Dreams about being chased, about hiding, about fighting, about escaping. These dreams served a purpose. They kept threat responses sharp. Practice survival reactions. Even now, humans commonly dream about being chased, about danger, about threats. These might be echoes of much older patterns, when the threats were real animals, when the chase dreams prepared you for actual predators. But dreams aren't just about fear and survival. They're also about desire, about pleasure, about things you want. Early humans wanted food, wanted comfort, wanted sex, wanted status, wanted connection. The same basic drives that motivate people now. Dreams about abundance, about finding incredible food sources, about warmth and safety, about attractive partners, about being respected and valued, the mind exploring desires, satisfying needs that waking life couldn't always meet. These dreams might have been the best part of the day, a few hours where you could experience things that weren't possible in real life, where scarcity became abundance, where danger became safety, where you could be whoever you wanted to be. Dreams as wish fulfillment, as escape, as relief from the hardness of daily existence. This isn't a modern luxury, it's probably ancient, a gift the brain gives itself, a way to balance the difficulty of waking life with the freedom of sleeping imagination. So when you add it all up, early human dreams probably looked something like this. Sensory-rich experiences drawn from daily life. Hunting scenes, gathering activities, social dramas, landscape, journeys, weather events, animal encounters, children, danger, desire, fear, hope, all mixed together in the strange logic of dreams, where things transform, where impossible things happen, where the dead return, where you can fly or speak to animals or find yourself in places that don't exist. The content came from their world. But dreams made it strange, made it symbolic, made it meaningful in ways that waking life couldn't be. And maybe that's the point. Dreams took the raw material of survival and transformed it into something else. Something that felt important, that carried weight, that meant more than just getting through another day. They dreamed about their lives, about what mattered, about what scared them and what they wanted, just like we do, just like humans have always done. The details change, the technology changes, the daily activities change, but the basic pattern stays the same. Dreams pull from life, transform it, create meaning from it, give us a few hours, where reality becomes fluid, where we can experience things that waking life denies us. That's what filled their dreams, their world, their lives, their hopes and fears, all mixed together in the darkness behind closed eyes, all processed and transformed by the same dreaming brain that still does this work now, every night, for everyone, everywhere. But what about the dreams that don't fit this pattern? The ones that aren't about daily life, the ones that feel different, strange, important in ways you can't explain. Early humans probably had these too, dreams that stood out, dreams that felt like they came from somewhere else, dreams that carried weight beyond normal sleep imagery. We call these big dreams, significant dreams, the ones you remember years later, the ones that change how you see things. Every culture reports them. Dreams that feel prophetic, dreams that solve problems, dreams that bring messages, dreams that connect you to something larger than yourself. Modern, hunter-gatherer societies treat certain dreams as special. Not all dreams matter equally. Some are just your brain processing the day, but others carry meaning, guidance, truth. The Iroquois held dream councils, shared important dreams with the group, interpreted them together, made decisions based on what dreams revealed. Australian Aboriginal peoples have the dream time, a concept where dreams connect to ancestral knowledge, to the creation of the world, to deep truths about reality. The Achuar people of Ecuador wake before dawn to share dreams. Every morning, the whole family. Dreams guide their decisions, tell them where to hunt, warn them of danger, reveal social tensions. These aren't primitive superstitions. These are sophisticated systems for extracting meaning from dream experiences, for using dreams as tools, as sources of knowledge that waking consciousness can't access. Early humans probably did something similar, not the exact same practices, but the same basic approach. Some dreams mattered more than others. Some dreams deserved attention, interpretation, action. Think about what this means. You're living 40,000 years ago. Most dreams are normal. You dream about hunting, about people you know, about daily activities, your brain doing its usual processing work. But then one night you have a different dream. It feels different, more vivid, more real. It stays with you when you wake up. You can't shake it. Maybe you dream about a place you've never been. But in the dream you know exactly where it is. You see landmarks, water, good hunting. When you wake up, the memory is crystal clear. Do you ignore this? Or do you pay attention? Do you mention it to others? Do you actually go looking for this place? If you go and find it, the dream was true. It showed you something real, something your waking mind didn't know. How do you explain that? You can't, not with the knowledge available to you. So you conclude the dream came from outside, yourself, from spirits, from ancestors, from the land itself, from something that knows more than you do, This isn't irrational. It's a reasonable interpretation based on the evidence. The dream showed you something true. Therefore, the dream had a source beyond your own mind. Modern neuroscience offers different explanations. Your brain stores information you don't consciously remember, processes patterns you don't consciously notice, makes connections below awareness. The dream about the unknown place might pull from fragmentary memories, things you saw but didn't focus on, clues your unconscious mind assembled. The dream presents this information as a coherent vision. You find the place because your brain already knew about it, just not consciously. But early humans didn't have this explanation. They had the experience, the mystery, the need to make sense of it. So they developed frameworks, ways to understand these powerful dreams, ways to use them, ways to separate meaningful dreams from random noise. Different cultures developed different systems, but common patterns emerge. Certain types of dreams matter more. Dreams about animals often carry significance. Dreams about the dead, dreams about unknown places, dreams that repeat, dreams that multiple people share, dreams before important events, dreams during illness, dreams at transitions, birth, death, coming of age. These dreams get special attention. Why? Because they seem to work. They provide useful information. They help people make decisions. They offer comfort during difficulty. They create meaning during chaos. A woman dreams about her dead grandmother. The grandmother tells her something, warns her, guides her. When she wakes, she feels comforted, less alone, connected to something beyond death. Is the grandmother's spirit actually visiting? Or is the dream her own mind working through grief and finding wisdom? Does the answer matter if the dream helps her survive? If it gives her strength to keep going? Early humans faced constant hardship, constant loss, constant uncertainty. Dreams offered a space where the dead returned, where guidance appeared, where meaning emerged from suffering. This wasn't escapism. It was a survival tool. Dreams helped people process trauma, find hope, maintain social bonds even after death. Keep the wisdom of elders alive. A hunter dreams about an animal. The animal speaks to him, tells him where to find the herd, shows him a new technique, warns him about danger. He wakes up and follows the dream guidance. It works. He finds the herd. The technique succeeds. He avoids the danger. How does he explain this? His culture tells him animals have spirits. The animal spirit helped him, taught him. This makes sense based on his experience. Modern psychology says his expert knowledge expressed itself through dream imagery, years of hunting experience, unconscious pattern recognition. His brain knew things his conscious mind hadn't articulated. Both explanations account for the facts. Both provide meaning. Both help him survive. The difference is metaphysical, not practical. Early humans chose the spiritual explanation because it fit their worldview, because it created connection, because it made them part of something larger, because it worked. Dreams about danger probably saved lives. Your brain processes threats constantly, notices things you don't consciously see, picks up on subtle warnings. A dream about a predator near camp. You wake up alert, extra cautious. You check the area carefully. You find tracks. The predator was there. The dream was right. Did your unconscious mind hear something during the night? Smell something? Process information while you slept? Probably, but you don't know that. You just know the dream warned you, and you survived because you listened. This reinforces trust in significant dreams. makes you pay attention, creates a feedback loop. Dreams that prove useful get remembered, get valued, get acted on. Dreams that don't help get forgotten, dismissed as ordinary sleep noise. Over time, cultures develop sophisticated dream interpretation systems, ways to read symbols, understand meanings, extract guidance. These systems aren't random. They're based on generations of experience, of noticing which dreams correlate with which outcomes, of pattern recognition across many dreamers. A dream about water might mean abundance, because water means life, means food, means survival. A dream about fire might mean transformation, because fire transforms everything it touches, changes raw to cooked, cold to warm, dark to light. A dream about certain animals might mean specific things, based on the animal's nature, its behavior, its role in the ecosystem. These symbolic systems emerge from lived experience, from deep knowledge of the natural world, from paying attention to correlations between dreams and reality. They're not perfect. Dreams don't predict the future with certainty, but they provide enough useful information often enough to be valuable, and they do something else, something maybe more important. They create shared meaning, shared language, shared understanding. When you tell your dream to the group, you're not just sharing random brain activity, you're sharing something that might matter, that might guide decisions, that might reveal truth. Others listen, interpret, add their own understanding. The dream becomes a collective resource, not just your private experience. This builds social cohesion, creates conversation, allows people to discuss fears and hopes indirectly, to explore possibilities without commitment. Someone dreams about conflict in the group, shares the dream. Others discuss what it might mean. This lets everyone address tensions without direct confrontation. The dream creates space for difficult conversations. Someone dreams about a new hunting ground. The group considers it, debates whether to explore. The dream becomes a proposal, a suggestion, a way to introduce new ideas. Dreams served social functions, not just individual psychological ones. They were tools for group decision-making, for processing collective anxiety, for maintaining relationships. And they connected people across time. Dreams about ancestors kept the dead present, kept their wisdom accessible, allowed the past to guide the present. This mattered enormously. Early humans lived in oral cultures. Knowledge wasn't written down, it was remembered, passed along, kept alive through story and practice. Dreams about elders who had died let their knowledge continue. The grandmother who knew which plants were medicine. The grandfather who knew where water could be found during drought. The hunter who understood animal behavior. When they died, their knowledge didn't have to die with them. It could return in dreams, could guide the living, could be remembered and honored. This created continuity, made death less final, kept the group's accumulated wisdom alive across generations. Modern people still dream about dead loved ones, still find comfort in these dreams, still feel guided by them. This isn't new, it's ancient. Maybe as old as human consciousness itself. The content of early human significant dreams probably reflected their concerns, their environment, their spiritual understanding. Dreams about animals with human qualities, animals that spoke, that taught, that guided. Because animals were teachers, were neighbours, were part of the community of life. Dreams about the landscape, about sacred places, about where the group came from and where it was going. Because place mattered, territory was identity, The land was alive with meaning, dreams about transformation, about becoming something else, about travelling to other realms, because their worldview allowed for this, expected it, valued it. Shamanic cultures worldwide report dreams of flying, of travelling to the spirit world, of transforming into animals, of journeying to the land of the dead and returning. These dreams feel real, more real than ordinary dreams. They change people, give them power, knowledge, authority. Early humans probably had similar experiences, dreams that felt like journeys, like transformations, like contact with other forms of consciousness. Whether you interpret these as literal spiritual experiences or as profound psychological states doesn't change their impact. They were real to the people who had them. They shaped behavior, influenced culture, created meaning. And here's what's fascinating. These significant dreams still happen. Modern people still have dreams that feel prophetic, that solve problems, that bring guidance, that change everything. You dream about someone you haven't thought about in years. The next day they contact you. Coincidence? Pattern recognition? Precognition? The mystery remains. You dream the solution to a problem you've been struggling with. You wake up and it works. Your unconscious mind solved it while you slept, but it feels like the answer came from somewhere else. You dream about a place you've never been. Later you go there and recognize it. Déjà vu. False memory. Actual precognition. Nobody knows for certain. These experiences connect us to early humans. We have the same brains, the same sleep cycles, the same capacity for dreams that transcend ordinary processing. The difference is interpretation. We have scientific frameworks, psychological explanations, neurological understanding. But the mystery remains. Dreams still surprise us, still guide us, still reveal things we didn't consciously know. Early humans built their lives around this mystery, honoured it, used it, let it shape their understanding of reality. They didn't separate dreams from waking life as sharply as we do. Dreams were another kind of experience, another way of knowing, another source of truth. This made their world larger, more mysterious, more full of possibility and meaning. When they closed their eyes at night, they weren't just shutting down, they were opening up to guidance, to connection, to knowledge that only comes in darkness, to dreams that mattered, dreams that changed things, dreams that made them more than just animals trying to survive, dreams that made them human. Speaking of impossible things, let's talk about nightmares. Early humans had them, no question about it. The same brain that creates dreams creates nightmares. The same sleep cycles that bring pleasant imagery bring terrifying ones. But what did they fear? What chased them through their sleep? Modern nightmares reflect modern anxieties. You dream about missing a test, showing up to work naked, your teeth falling out, falling from high places, being chased by something you can't see. These tap into contemporary fears, social embarrassment, loss of control, physical vulnerability, the feeling that something's wrong but you can't fix it. Early human nightmares probably look different. Same underlying mechanisms, different content. They feared real predators, lions, hyenas, leopards. These weren't abstract threats. They were daily dangers, things that actually killed people, so they probably dreamed about them, vividly, terrifyingly. Imagine dreaming about a lion, but not a normal lion, a dream lion, bigger than reality, faster, more intelligent. It knows where you're hiding. It can find you anywhere. You run, but your legs won't work properly. You try to scream, but no sound comes. This is your brain processing real danger, real fear. The lion represents actual threat. Your nightmare is practicing survival, running through scenarios, preparing your body for emergency response. But it feels terrible. You wake up gasping, heart racing, covered in sweat. The fear lingers even after you realize it was just a dream. Did early humans understand this distinction between dream danger and real danger? Probably not clearly, not the way we do. When you spend your nights around a small fire, surrounded by darkness full of actual predators, the line between nightmare and reality blurs. You hear sounds in the dark. Your nightmare about the lion feels more real, more possible. The fear makes sense. Modern sleep research shows nightmares serve functions. They're not just random terror. They help process trauma, rehearse responses to danger, regulate fear. People with PTSD have recurring nightmares. The brain trying to process overwhelming experiences, trying to make sense of horror, trying to find a way to survive it. Early humans experienced trauma constantly. Deaths, injuries, attacks, starvation, watching children die, losing group members to violence or predators. Their nightmares probably reflected this, replaying traumatic events, processing loss, working through fear. A woman watches her child die from illness. She has nightmares about it for months, years. The nightmare changes each time. Sometimes she saves the child, sometimes she doesn't. Sometimes the child speaks to her, tells her things. Is this torture, or is it healing? Is her brain working through grief, finding ways to live with loss, creating scenarios where she has more control? Maybe both. The nightmare hurts, but it also helps. It keeps the child present, allows continued relationship, processes the impossible pain of losing someone you can't protect. Early humans probably interpreted nightmares differently than pleasant dreams. Good dreams brought guidance, messages, truth. But nightmares were warnings, attacks, intrusions. Many cultures believe nightmares come from outside, evil spirits, malevolent forces, enemies using magic, the dead who won't rest. This makes sense if you don't understand brain chemistry. If you don't know about REM sleep and neural processing, the nightmare feels like an attack because it is attacking you, your peace, your rest, your sense of safety. So it must come from an attacker, something that wants to harm you, something you need to protect against. This created practices, ways to ward off nightmares, rituals before sleep, protective objects, prayers or chants, sleeping arrangements designed for safety. These practices probably helped. Not because they stopped supernatural attacks, but because they reduced anxiety, created sense of control, calmed the nervous system enough to allow better sleep. A child has recurring nightmares. The shaman gives the family a protective charm. They hang it where the child sleeps. The nightmares decrease. Why? Maybe the charm works spiritually. Maybe the child feels safer. Maybe the parent's reduced anxiety helps the child relax. Maybe the ritual itself creates psychological shift. The mechanism doesn't matter if the outcome is better sleep. Early humans also probably had nightmares about social threats. Not just physical danger. Humans are social animals. Social exclusion meant social death. Being cast out from the group, rejected, alone. So nightmares about abandonment, about the group leaving without you, about doing something that makes everyone turn against you, about being unable to communicate, about watching from outside while the group lives on without you. These nightmares tap into deep fears fears that still haunt us. We still dream about being left out, about social failure, about isolation. The content shifts, but the core fear remains. We need connection. We need belonging. Nightmares remind us how much this matters. Some nightmares probably felt prophetic. Warning dreams. Dreams that showed coming danger. Dreams that demanded attention. You dream about a specific place. In the dream, something terrible happens there. You wake up disturbed. You mention it to others. The group decides to avoid that place. Nothing bad happens. Did the dream prevent disaster? Or was it just anxiety? You'll never know. But the dream felt important. It influenced behavior. It might have saved lives. This reinforces the idea that some nightmares carry meaning. They're not just fear, they're information. Warnings from something that sees more than you do. Modern psychology explains this differently. Your unconscious mind noticed danger signs, processed patterns, predicted outcomes. The nightmare presented this analysis as vivid imagery. You avoided the place because your brain already knew it was dangerous. The nightmare was your unconscious mind getting your attention. But early humans didn't have this framework. They had the experience, the fear, the need to respond. So they developed interpretations. This type of nightmare means this. That symbol means that. These practices help. Those don't. Different cultures created different systems, but common patterns emerge. Nightmares about certain animals often mean specific things. Nightmares about the dead require particular responses. Nightmares before important events demand extra attention. Sleep paralysis probably terrified early humans. You wake up but you can't move. You feel a presence in the darkness, a weight on your chest. You try to scream but nothing comes out. You're trapped between sleep and waking, conscious but helpless. This happens to people across all cultures. It's a known sleep phenomenon. Your brain wakes up before your body does, creates sensation of paralysis, often includes hallucinations, feeling of presence, sometimes visual imagery. But if you don't know about rematonia and hypnagogic hallucinations, how do you explain this? You were attacked. Something came in the night, held you down, tried to harm you. You survived, but barely. Every culture has entities that explain sleep paralysis. Demons that sit on your chest. Spirits that steal your breath. Witches that paralyze you. Old hags. Shadow people. Malevolent forces. The names change, but the experience is universal and terrifying. Early humans probably experienced this regularly, interpreted it as supernatural attack, developed protections against it, told stories about it, warned each other. These stories served purposes. They explained the unexplainable. They created shared understanding. They offered solutions. They made the terror manageable. If sleep paralysis is a demon, you can protect against demons. You can perform rituals, use charms, sleep in certain positions, say certain words. You have some control. If it's just random brain malfunction, you're helpless. You just have to endure it. Hope it doesn't happen again. The demon explanation empowers you, gives you agency, even if it's not literally true. Recurring nightmares probably troubled early humans like they trouble us. The same terrible dream over and over. You can't escape it. It follows you into sleep, disrupts rest, creates anxiety about sleeping. Modern therapy treats recurring nightmares. You rehearse different endings while awake. Imagine changing the dream, taking control, fighting back, escaping, transforming the threat. This often works. The nightmare shifts, loses power, eventually stops. Early humans probably discovered similar techniques. If you have the same nightmare repeatedly, you talk about it, share it, let others help interpret it, perform rituals to change it, imagine different outcomes. The group helps process the nightmare, makes it less personal, less overwhelming, shares the burden. Someone dreams about drowning. Over and over, the group discusses it. Maybe it means something about emotions, about being overwhelmed, about needing help. They perform a ritual. The dreamer feels supported. The nightmare changes. Did the ritual work magically? Or did the social support and reframing work psychologically? Both explanations fit the outcome. Nightmares about the dead probably carried special weight. You dream about someone who died, but in the dream, they're angry, threatening, trying to harm you. You wake up terrified. Many cultures believe this means the dead person's spirit is troubled, angry about how they died, about how they're being treated after death, about unfinished business. This requires action, rituals to appease the spirit, offerings, prayers, making amends for whatever wrong occurred. Modern psychology says you're processing complicated grief, guilt, unresolved conflict. The nightmare reflects your emotional state, your relationship with the deceased, your need to make peace with their death. Both interpretations lead to similar actions. You address the issue, you perform rituals, or you process emotions. You find ways to make peace. The nightmare eventually stops. Early humans probably had nightmares about starvation, about drought, about the food running out, about watching their children starve, about their own bodies wasting away. These weren't irrational fears. They were real possibilities, constant threats, things that actually happened. The nightmares prepared them, kept them vigilant, motivated them to store food, to move when resources declined, to take risks when necessary. Anxiety serves survival. The nightmare about starvation makes you work harder, plan better, take threats seriously, but it also exhausts you, disrupts sleep, creates stress that wears down your body. Early humans needed ways to manage this anxiety, to process these fears without being paralyzed by them. Dreams and nightmares both served this function. The pleasant dream about abundance gave hope. The nightmare about starvation gave motivation. Together they created balance, enough fear to stay alert, enough hope to keep trying. Nightmares about violence probably haunted early humans. Dreams about being attacked, about watching loved ones killed, about being unable to protect your group, about your own death. These reflected real dangers. Humans fought each other, raided each other, killed each other over resources and territory and revenge. The nightmares processed this violence, rehearsed responses, worked through trauma, prepared for future threats. But they also created cycles. Violence creates trauma. Trauma creates nightmares. Nightmares reinforce fear and anger. Fear and anger create more violence. Breaking this cycle required cultural tools, ways to process violence without perpetuating it, rituals for cleansing after killing, ways to honor the dead on both sides, practices that acknowledge trauma while building peace. Dreams and nightmares played roles in these processes. The nightmare about killing someone might lead to ritual purification. The dream about peace might inspire reconciliation. Early humans understood something we're rediscovering. Nightmares aren't just problems to eliminate, they're information to process. They reveal what threatens us, what we fear losing, what we need to protect. Trying to stop nightmares completely might not be helpful. They serve functions. They keep us alert to danger, They process difficult experiences. They rehearse survival responses. The goal isn't to never have nightmares, it's to have them in ways that help rather than harm. To process them, learn from them, let them inform behavior without being controlled by them. Early humans probably achieved this balance better than we do. They lived with real danger. Their nightmares reflected real threats. The fear made sense, had purpose, drove useful behavior. Modern nightmares often feel disconnected from real danger. We fear things that won't actually kill us. Social embarrassment, minor failures, imagined catastrophes. But the fear feels just as real, just as overwhelming. Our brains haven't updated to modern safety. They still respond as if we're facing ancient dangers. Maybe early humans can teach us something here. They took nightmares seriously, but not literally. They used them as information, as motivation, as connection to deeper truths. They didn't dismiss nightmares as meaningless brain noise, but they didn't let nightmares control them either. They found the middle path, the useful interpretation, the response that helped. When you woke from a nightmare 40,000 years ago, you weren't alone with your fear. The group was there. The fire was burning. Others had nightmares too. You could share it, process it, find meaning in it together. The nightmare became part of the group's knowledge, another piece of information about danger, about fear, about survival, another story that helped everyone prepare, cope, continue. This is what early humans did with their nightmares. They transformed private terror into shared wisdom. They used fear as fuel for survival. They let darkness teach them about light. And somehow, despite the real dangers and the terrible dreams, they kept sleeping, kept dreaming, kept waking up to try again. That's the real miracle. Not that they had nightmares, but that they survived them. Night after night, generation after generation, until they became us. But here's what we actually know about early human nightmares. Not theories, not guesses, evidence. Start with the obvious. Every human culture ever studied has nightmares. Every single one. No exceptions. This suggests deep evolutionary roots. Something ancient. Something that developed before we split into different populations. Nightmares aren't cultural inventions. They're human universals. Psychologist Ernest Hartmann studied nightmares for decades. He found certain themes appear across all cultures. Being chased, falling, drowning, losing teeth, being unable to move or speak, watching loved ones die, being attacked by animals or monsters. The details change. A modern American dreams about being chased through a mall. An Amazonian hunter dreams about being chased through jungle. But the core experience is identical. The terror, the helplessness, the desperate attempt to escape. This points to shared neural architecture, shared fears, things that threatened all humans everywhere. Early humans faced real predators, lions, leopards, hyenas, cave bears. These weren't abstract threats. They killed people regularly, children especially, anyone who wandered too far, anyone caught alone. So early humans almost certainly dreamed about them. Their brains processed these dangers during sleep. Rehearsed responses kept the threat alive in consciousness even during rest. We can see this in modern hunter-gatherers. The Hadza people of Tanzania still live alongside large predators. Anthropologist Frank Marlowe documented their sleep patterns and dreams. They dream about lions frequently, about being stalked, attacked, chased. These aren't random anxiety dreams, they're specific, detailed, based on real encounters and real danger. A Hadza woman described a recurring nightmare. A lion circles her shelter at night. She can hear it breathing, see its shadow moving outside. She's frozen, can't move, can't call for help. The lion knows she's there. It's patient, waiting for her to make a mistake. This nightmare reflects reality. Lions do hunt at night. They do stalk human settlements. They are patient. The dream isn't irrational. It's preparation. Early humans probably had similar nightmares. Same predators, same dangers, same evolutionary pressure to stay alert even while sleeping. Now look at sleep paralysis. This happens when your brain wakes up but your body doesn't. You're conscious but can't move. Often includes hallucinations, feeling of presence, sometimes visual imagery, weight on your chest, difficulty breathing. This occurs in about 8% of people regularly. Much higher percentages experience it occasionally. It's a known sleep phenomenon. Your muscles are paralyzed during REM sleep to prevent you from acting out dreams. Sometimes you wake up before this paralysis releases, but if you don't know about REM atonia, how do you explain this? Every culture has entities that explain sleep paralysis. Medieval Europe had the incubus and succubus, demons that sat on your chest at night. Japan has kanashibari, the feeling of being bound by invisible metal. Newfoundland has the old hag, an evil spirit that holds you down. The Hmong people call it Dab Tsog, the crushing demon. During the 1980s, dozens of young Hmong men died in their sleep after experiencing this. They described the same thing, waking up unable to move, feeling a presence, a weight. Then their hearts stopped. Doctors call it sudden, unexpected nocturnal death syndrome. The mechanism isn't fully understood, but the cultural interpretation matters. If you believe a demon is attacking you, your terror is real. Your stress response is real. For some people, this stress might trigger fatal heart problems. Early humans experienced sleep paralysis too. Same brain, same sleep cycles, same phenomenon. They interpreted it as attack. Something came in the night, held them down, tried to harm them or steal their breath or enter their body. This created protective practices, ways to ward off night attacks, sleeping positions, protective objects, rituals before sleep. These practices probably helped, not because they stopped supernatural entities, but because they reduced anxiety, created sense of control. The Yanomami people of the Amazon have elaborate practices around sleep and dreams. Anthropologist Napoleon Chagnon documented these. They believe certain spirits attack during sleep, so they sleep in hammocks close together, keep fires burning, use specific plants as protection. Do these practices work? Their sleep paralysis rates aren't higher than other populations. They don't report more night terrors, so something about their cultural response helps manage the experience. Early humans probably developed similar practices. Through trial and error, through cultural evolution, they found what helped. Now consider recurring nightmares. Modern sleep research shows these often relate to trauma. People with PTSD have the same nightmares repeatedly. The brain, trying to process overwhelming experiences, trying to find resolution, trying to survive what already happened. Early humans experienced trauma constantly. Deaths, injuries, violence, starvation, watching children die, losing group members to predators or attacks. Their nightmares probably reflected this. A woman loses her child to illness. She dreams about it for months. The nightmare changes slightly each time. Sometimes she saves the child. Sometimes she doesn't. Sometimes the child speaks to her. Is this torture or healing? Modern therapy suggests it's processing, the brain working through impossible grief, finding ways to live with loss, creating scenarios where she has some control. Psychologist Rosalind Cartwright studied bereaved people's dreams. She found those who dreamed about their loss recovered better. The dreams were painful, but they served a function. They processed emotion, integrated the loss, helped people adapt. Early humans probably understood this intuitively. The nightmare hurts, but it also helps. It keeps the deceased present, allows continued relationship. Processes grief in ways waking consciousness can't. Different cultures developed different responses to nightmares, but common patterns emerge. Talking about nightmares helps, sharing them with the group, letting others help interpret. This reduces their power. The Iroquois people had formal dream-sharing practices. Everyone shared dreams each morning. The group discussed them, offered interpretations, suggested actions. This created collective understanding, shared meaning, reduced individual burden. Early humans probably did something similar. You wake from a terrible nightmare. You're shaken, afraid. But others are there. The fire is burning. You can talk about it. Others have nightmares too. They understand. They help you make sense of it. This transforms private terror into shared experience. The nightmare becomes information, something the group can use. Another piece of knowledge about danger, about fear, about survival. Now look at nightmare content across cultures. Certain themes appear everywhere: being chased, falling, drowning, being attacked, losing loved ones, being unable to move or speak. These aren't random. They reflect universal human vulnerabilities, things that threatened our ancestors everywhere. Being chased. Predators hunted us. Enemies pursued us. Running away was survival. Falling? Climbing was necessary. Trees, cliffs. Falling meant death. Drowning. Water was essential but dangerous. Rivers, lakes, oceans. Drowning killed people. Being unable to move. Paralysis meant vulnerability, helplessness, easy prey, losing loved ones. Humans survived through groups. Isolation meant death. The nightmares encode ancient dangers. They keep us alert to threats that shaped our evolution, even when those threats no longer exist in modern life. You dream about showing up to work naked. This taps into fear of social exposure, of being vulnerable in front of the group, of losing status. These fears made sense for early humans. Social exclusion meant death. The content shifts, but the mechanism stays the same. Nightmares process threats, real or perceived, physical or social. They keep you alert, prepared, careful. Anthropologist Ward Cracker studied the Caguahive people of Brazil. He documented their nightmares over many months, found patterns. Nightmares about jaguars were common. These reflected real danger. Jaguars killed people regularly. But nightmares about social conflict were even more common. Being rejected by the group, failing at important tasks, causing offence. These nightmares reflected social dangers, things that could get you excluded. For the Caguahive, both types of nightmares served functions. The jaguar nightmares kept people alert to physical danger. The social nightmares maintained group cohesion. Both promoted survival. Early humans probably had similar patterns. Physical nightmares and social nightmares. Both important. Both adaptive. Now consider nightmare frequency. Modern people in safe environments still have nightmares regularly. About 5% of adults have nightmares weekly. Many more have them monthly. Early humans probably had more real danger, more trauma, more stress, more reasons for their brains to process threats during sleep. But they also had better cultural tools for managing nightmares, shared interpretation, collective response, rituals that helped, community support. Modern people often suffer nightmares alone. We don't have cultural frameworks for understanding them. We see them as problems to eliminate, symptoms to treat, not information to process. Early humans saw nightmares differently, as messages, as warnings, as connections to deeper reality. This interpretation probably helped, not because it was literally true, but because it gave nightmares meaning, purpose, value. Psychologist Kelly Bulkley analysed thousands of dreams across cultures, found that cultures with rich dream interpretation practices report better sleep quality, not fewer nightmares, but better ability to cope with them. The interpretation matters. If nightmares are meaningless brain noise, they're just suffering. If they're messages or warnings or processing, they serve purposes. You can work with them, learn from them, use them. Early humans developed these interpretive frameworks over thousands of years, through cultural evolution, through trial and error. They found what helped people sleep despite real dangers, despite trauma, despite loss. Look at how nightmares change with age. Children have more nightmares than adults. Their brains are developing, processing more new information, learning about dangers. Early human children probably had frequent nightmares about predators, about darkness, about separation from parents, about hunger. These nightmares taught them, kept them alert, helped them learn what to fear. Adults' nightmares shift. Less about monsters, more about complex social situations, about failure, about loss, about things that matter in adult life. Early human adults probably had nightmares about failing to provide, about losing status, about group conflict, about their children dying, about their own death. These reflected adult responsibilities, adult fears. The nightmares changed but never stopped, because danger never stopped. Threats evolved, responsibilities shifted, but vigilance remained necessary. Now consider how nightmares spread. One person has a nightmare, describes it. Others hear it. That night they dream about similar things. This happens in modern settings. Shared nightmares in groups. Collective fears manifesting in individual dreams. The content spreads like information. Early humans probably experienced this more intensely. Smaller groups, more shared experiences, more collective trauma. When one person had a nightmare about a specific danger, others processed that danger too. This created shared threat assessment, collective vigilance. The nightmares help the group stay alert together, respond to dangers together. A hunter has a nightmare about a particular valley. Something terrible happens there in the dream, he tells the group. Others start dreaming about that valley too. The group decides to avoid it. Whether the danger was real or not, the collective decision promotes caution, survival. This is how nightmares served group function, not just individual processing, collective threat assessment, shared decision-making. The evidence shows nightmares aren't mistakes. They're not bugs in the system. They're features, adaptations. They kept our ancestors alert, careful, prepared for danger. We still have them because we still need them. Even in safe modern environments, our brains haven't updated to modern safety. They still prepare for ancient dangers. Early humans lived with this better. They had cultural tools, shared frameworks, ways to process nightmares that helped rather than harmed. They took nightmares seriously but not literally, used them as information, as motivation, as connection to deeper truths about danger and survival and what matters. When you woke from a nightmare 40,000 years ago, you weren't alone with your terror. The group was there, the fire was burning, others understood, they'd help you make sense of it, find meaning in it, use it. The nightmare became part of the group's knowledge. Another story, another warning, another piece of wisdom about how to survive in a dangerous world. This is what early humans did with their nightmares. They transformed private terror into shared understanding. They used fear as information. They let darkness teach them about survival. So, let's shift our focus from dreams and nightmares to something we can see with our own eyes. I'm talking about cave art, the kind painted or carved onto stone, hidden deep inside mountains or stretching across rock, shelters. These images are some of the oldest messages humans left behind. Unlike bones or tools, art tells us something about what people actually thought, what mattered to them, maybe even what they dreamed about. Here's where it gets interesting. The oldest known cave art is over 45,000 years old. Some of it was made by people in Indonesia. Other famous examples come from Europe, places like France and Spain. The most famous sites are Lascaux, Chauvet, and Altamira. But there are hundreds more. People kept finding new ones all through the 20th and 21st centuries. Almost every time the dates get pushed back. It's like the farther we look, the deeper this story goes. Picture this. It's pitch black inside a cave. No sunlight gets in. The only light comes from a burning torch or a tiny oil lamp. The air is cold and still. You can hear water dripping somewhere far away. The walls are rough and damp. Now imagine somebody crawling deep into this darkness, carrying animal fat for a lamp, maybe a piece of ochre or charcoal in hand, ready to create something that nobody else will see for thousands of years. Why did they do it? That's the big mystery. These images weren't made to decorate living spaces. Most cave art is found deep underground, far from where people slept or ate. Some passages are so tight, adults have to squeeze through on their stomachs. In many cases, you'd risk getting lost or injured just getting to the chamber with the art. So it wasn't for comfort. It wasn't for showing off to the neighbours. It was something deeper. Let's look at what they painted. Across almost every site, the main subjects are animals. Lots of them. Horses, bison, mammoths, deer, lions, rhinos, bulls, sometimes bears. Almost never the small animals people actually ate most of the time, like rabbits or birds, and very rarely people themselves. Some caves, like Chauvet in France, show huge herds of animals, lions hunting bison, woolly rhinos fighting, horses running in circles. The lines are bold and confident. Sometimes the animals look like they're moving, even though nothing actually moves. The artists even use the shape of the rock to make the animals seem alive. A bump on the wall becomes the shoulder of a bison. A crack becomes a horse's mane. And then there are the handprints. You see them everywhere. Sometimes painted in red or black. Sometimes as outlines, made by blowing pigment around a hand pressed flat against the stone. Some are small, clearly from children. Others are large. Many have missing fingers, or fingers bent down. People wonder if this was some kind of sign language, or maybe a ritual. Nobody knows for sure. What about humans? When people are shown, they're usually stick figures, not detailed. Sometimes they have animal heads, or parts mixed with animals. There are also strange shapes, dots, lines, spirals, grids. Nobody knows what these symbols mean. Some scientists call them signs, others think they're early writing. But there's no Rosetta Stone for cave art. We're guessing. Now, here's a question. Were these images just for fun? Most experts don't think so. Making art that deep in a cave takes planning and effort. You have to prepare torches, mix pigments, organize people, and remember your way in and out. Some images were repainted or touched up over centuries. That suggests they mattered. Maybe they were part of a ritual. Maybe they were meant to tell stories. Maybe they were ways to connect with something beyond the everyday. Some researchers think the caves were like early temples, sacred places, not for ordinary life, but for something special. Maybe ceremonies, maybe initiation rituals for young people, maybe a place to meet spirits or ancestors. The truth is, we don't know. But it's clear these places were important. Let's talk about the animals again. Why paint so many predators? Lions, bears, rhinos, animals that could kill people. In some caves, dangerous animals are shown more often than the ones people actually hunted for food. It's almost like the artists were obsessed with fear. Maybe painting a lion on the wall was a way to control that fear, or to call on the lion's power, or to warn others about danger. Or maybe the lion was part of their stories, their beliefs, their dreams. Think about this. In modern times, people dream about things that scare them, being chased, attacked, or trapped. These are ancient fears. Early humans lived with them every day. Maybe painting these animals was a way to face those fears, to make sense of them, to turn terror into art. There's another strange thing about these caves. The deeper you go, the more complicated the art gets. In some places you find overlapping images, one animal painted over another. Sometimes dozens of images crowd the same wall. It's as if each generation added something new. Or maybe they painted over old images to renew their power. And then there's the silence. When you stand in a painted cave today, it's so quiet you can hear your own breathing. Some chambers echo in odd ways. Researchers have noticed that the best art often appears in places with strong echoes or special acoustics. Maybe sound was part of the experience. Maybe people chanted, sang, or drummed while making the art. Maybe the echo made it feel magical, or scary, or holy. Here's a detail that's easy to miss. The pigments used for painting weren't just picked up from the ground. People ground ochre, mixed it with animal fat, spit, or plant oils. They made brushes from sticks, chewed ends, or animal hair. Sometimes they blew pigment through hollow bones. This takes knowledge and skill. It's not random. Somebody taught these techniques to others, maybe parents to children, maybe masters to apprentices. Now, look at the footprints. In caves like Peshmerl and Chauvet, scientists found footprints in the clay floors. Some belong to adults. Others are from kids, as young as 3 or 4 years old. Imagine that. A group of people, including children, crawling deep into the earth, painting animals in flickering torchlight. It's not just a grown-up activity. Maybe it was a group event. Maybe a family thing. Maybe part of growing up. Let's pause and ask, what does this tell us about their minds? Making cave art takes planning. You have to imagine something that isn't there. Picture an animal in your mind. Decide where to put it. Choose the right colours. Prepare the tools. Then make it appear on the wall. That's a big mental leap. It shows these people weren't just surviving. They were thinking symbolically, making meaning from the world around them. Taking things they'd seen, herds of bison, a lion in the grass, a wounded horse, and turning them into images that lasted for thousands of years. Some scientists think this is evidence of a new kind of mind, not just reacting to the world, but imagining, creating, dreaming. The art is proof, not just of skill, but of imagination, of inner worlds. But what about the dots, lines, and strange symbols? Some caves have patterns that repeat from place to place, little ladders, zigzags, spirals, sets of dots. They appear alongside the animals, sometimes even on top of them. Genevieve von Petzinger, a researcher who studies these signs, found that only about 30 different shapes appear over and over again in different caves, separated by thousands of miles and hundreds of years. She thinks these were not just decorations, but a way to communicate. Maybe the first steps toward writing. But writing what? That's the mystery. Maybe they marked stories. Maybe they kept track of the seasons, or the number of animals seen. Maybe they mapped out journeys, or told about special events, like a great hunt, or a dangerous animal near the camp. Now, let's talk about shamanism. Some experts believe cave art is connected to early spiritual practices. The idea is that certain people, shamans, entered trance states, maybe using drumming, singing, or even plants that change perception. They'd travel to another world in their minds and bring back visions. Sometimes, these visions showed animals, strange shapes, or half-human beings. Rock art in southern Africa, made by the San people, gives us a clue. The San have stories of shamans turning into animals during trance dances. Some of their art shows people with animal heads, or people surrounded by dots and lines that look like energy or power. Maybe cave art in Europe and Asia had a similar meaning. Think about dreams. In dreams, things blur together. You're yourself, but also someone else. Animals talk. The world changes shape. Maybe these ancient artists painted their dreams, or visions they saw during trance. Maybe the caves were places to visit the spirit world, or meet ancestors, or face fears. Another clue comes from North America. The Chumash people of California made rock art in caves for thousands of years. Some of their designs look like sunbursts, spirals, or figures with outstretched arms. The Chumash say these images came from dreams or visions, often after staying awake for days or fasting. The art was a way to remember the dream or share it with others. So maybe cave art is humanity's oldest dream diary. Not in words, but in pictures. A record of the inner world, of imagination, hope, fear, and wonder. Let's look at another example, Sulawesi, Indonesia. In 2014, researchers found hand stencils and paintings of wild pigs on cave walls there. These are more than 45,000 years old. That's older than most European cave art. The pigs are drawn with care. Big bodies, detailed snouts, even bristly hair. The people who made these images lived far from Europe, yet used many of the same techniques and subjects. This suggests something big. Either different groups invented cave art on their own, or the idea spread with people as they moved. Either way, drawing animals and hands was important enough to show up everywhere. Now let's talk about the oldest known drawing made by a human hand. It's not a painting, but a series of red lines, like a hashtag, scratched on a piece of rock in South Africa. Is about 73,000 years old. That's 30,000 years older than the famous cave paintings in Europe. It's simple, but it shows intention. Someone decided to make a mark that didn't need to be there. That's the start of art, the start of thinking in symbols. But cave art isn't the only kind of ancient art. There are carvings too. In Germany, archaeologists found tiny figures made out of mammoth ivory. One is a little lion man, half human, half cat, almost 40,000 years old. Another is a tiny horse. There are also flutes made from bird bones, some of the oldest musical instruments ever found. These objects were carried around, not stuck in caves. Maybe they were used in ceremonies. Maybe they were toys or good luck charms. Maybe they meant something special to their owners. We can only guess. But the important thing is this. By 40,000 years ago, humans were making art everywhere they went. Not just practical things, not just tools, but objects that meant something more. Something about beauty, or hope, or fear, or memory. Let's step back. What does all this evidence tell us? First, that humans have always needed to express themselves, not just survive, but create, leave a mark, share something with others, even if those others live thousands of years later. Second, that art isn't just decoration, it's a way to make sense of the world, to face danger, to remember the past, to imagine the future, maybe even to process dreams and fears. Third, that the same kinds of images, animals, handprints, symbols, show up in places separated by oceans and ice and time. Something about these images mattered to the people who made them. Maybe they were telling stories. Maybe they were sharing knowledge. Maybe they were just saying, I was here, I saw this, I felt this. And finally, that we're not so different from them. We still make art. We still dream. We still try to make sense of things we can't control. Fear, hope, loss, joy. We still tell stories in words, in pictures, in music. Now some people ask, did early humans paint what they saw in waking life? Or what they dreamed? That's almost impossible to answer. But here's what we know. In some painted caves, the animals are twisted, stretched, or shown in impossible poses. Some have extra legs, or strange markings. Sometimes, animals are stacked on top of each other, or morph into different shapes. This doesn't look like a hunting manual. It looks like imagination, maybe visions, maybe dreams. Some scientists compare the images to things seen in altered states of mind, like trance, fever, or dreams. In these states, the brain can create strange visual effects, spirals, grids, flashing dots. These shapes show up again and again in cave art. Maybe the artists were painting what they saw in their minds, not just their eyes. And then there's the darkness. Spending hours in a pitch-black cave lit only by weak lamps can change how you think and see. Shadows move, sounds echo, your senses play tricks. Maybe the darkness itself helped people enter a dreamlike state. Maybe the act of painting was a way to explore those inner worlds. There's one more detail. In some caves, the art is placed high up on the walls or ceilings. You'd need a ladder or to stand on someone's shoulders to reach it. Why go to all that trouble? Maybe to get closer to the spirits. Maybe to make the images harder to reach, more secret. Or maybe just because that's where the rock was smoothest. Some caves were used for thousands of years. Generations added their own art, layer by layer. Sometimes they respected the old images and painted around them. Other times they covered them up. Imagine the stories passed down. That bison was painted by my ancestor's ancestor. This handprint is mine. All of this points to a deep need to connect, not just with the world outside, but with something larger, with the past, the future, the group, the unknown. Now let's not forget the rest of the world. People made rock art in Australia, Africa, India, and the Americas. Some of the oldest art in Australia dates back at least 28,000 years. It shows animals, people, handprints, and mysterious symbols. In Africa, cave paintings are found in the Sahara, showing giraffes, cattle, and scenes of daily life from a time when the desert was green. In the Americas, ancient people painted and carved images along riverbanks, canyons, and cliffs. Some show animals, others show hunting scenes. Some are abstract, just lines and circles. Nobody can read these messages, but the urge to create them was everywhere. There is something else. In many places, rock art is found near water or on high ground, or in places with a good view of the land. Maybe these were special places for the group, good for meeting or for ceremonies. Maybe the art marked territory, or told others, this place matters to us. Now, here's a question that comes up a lot. Did these early artists ever paint bad things? Monsters? Nightmares? The honest answer is, we don't know for sure. Most of the surviving art shows animals, not scary creatures. But some images are strange. Half animal, half human beings. Creatures with huge teeth or claws. Some shapes look disturbing even today. It's possible that some of these images came from dreams, or from the fears people carried inside. Maybe painting a monster was a way to keep it away, or to ask for protection, or to warn others. In some cultures, even today, people paint or carve images of spirits or demons to protect themselves. Maybe early humans did something similar. Maybe their art was both a prayer and a shield. Let's not forget music. Those bone flutes from Germany, over 40,000 years old, were tuned to play real scales, notes that sound good together. Someone sat down, made holes in the right places, and played music in the dark. Maybe for dancing, maybe for ceremonies, maybe just for comfort. Music and art go together. Both are ways to express what can't be said in words. Both are ways to share emotion, memory, hope, and fear. So, what's the big picture here? Cave art is proof that early humans weren't just surviving day to day. They were thinking about bigger things, life, death, animals, power, mystery, maybe even dreams and nightmares. The evidence is right there on the walls and stones. Not just marks, but messages. Not just pictures, but stories. Not just art, but connection. We'll never know exactly what those artists were thinking. We can't ask them what their pictures meant. But we can stand in the same caves, see the same shapes, and wonder. Maybe that's the point. Art isn't just for explaining things. It's for feeling them, for sharing what can't be put into words, for reaching across time and saying, this mattered to me, maybe it matters to you too. And as we move forward, let's think about what living groups, people still connected to ancient ways, can teach us about art, dreams, and the meaning behind them. Maybe their stories can help us fill in the gaps left by the silence of stone. If you want to understand how early humans thought, you can't just look at their art. You have to look at the living evidence too. There are still people today who live in ways that are closer to how our ancestors lived. They hunt, gather, and move with the seasons. They tell stories by the fire. They pass on knowledge through songs, dances, and rituals. Some scientists call these groups modern tribes, or traditional societies. That's not a perfect name because no group is frozen in time, but these groups can help us guess what life was like before cities, before writing, before the modern world. Let's start with the San people of southern Africa. They've lived in the Kalahari Desert for thousands of years. Their way of life is one of the oldest on Earth. The San still hunt wild animals and gather roots, nuts, and berries. They know hundreds of plants by name. They use poisons from beetles to make their arrows deadly. At night, they sit around campfires and tell stories. Some are about real hunts, some are about spirits, animals that talk, or people who change shape. The San believe in a spirit world. They say it's hidden just behind the everyday world. Sometimes in dreams or in trance you can slip across that line. During trance dances at night, San healers dance around the fire for hours. They breathe fast, sing and move until they fall into a kind of trance. In this state, they say they can travel to the spirit world, heal sickness, or talk to ancestors. Sometimes they dream of animals, especially the big, dangerous ones. Lions, elephants, leopards. They say the spirits can take the form of these animals, or that shamans can turn into them. What does this have to do with ancient people? Well, San rock art is found in caves and on rocks across southern Africa. Many paintings show people with animal features, horns, tails, or even animal heads. There are also scenes of dances, hunting, and strange shapes. Some San elders say these images show things seen in trance or in dreams. The dots, lines, and zigzags are things you see when you're in a trance. The people with animal heads. That's what it feels like when a shaman becomes a lion or an antelope in a dream. This matches with some of the oldest art in the world. In Europe and Asia, ancient cave paintings also show half animal, half human beings. There are lines, dots and symbols that look a lot like the ones the San paint. The connection isn't perfect. The art is separated by thousands of miles and years, but it's a clue. Maybe early humans everywhere shared some of these ideas. Maybe dreams and trances were part of daily life for everyone. Let's look at another group, the Hadza of Tanzania. They live near Lake Eyasi in a dry, rocky part of East Africa. The Hadza are one of the last truly nomadic hunting and gathering societies. They don't farm. They move with the seasons. Hadza men hunt with bows and poisoned arrows. Women gather berries, baobab fruit, and dig for tubers. They make fires with sticks. At night, the group gathers and shares stories. The Hadza have strong beliefs about dreams and spirits. They say the dead can visit you in dreams. Sometimes, a hunter will dream about an animal before a big hunt. If he dreams of a giraffe, he might go looking for one the next day. Sometimes, a dream is seen as a warning. If you dream of a snake, you're told to be careful. The Hadza also believe in a trickster spirit who appears in dreams, causing confusion or laughter. Their stories mix real events with dreamlike things, animals that talk, people flying, or magical places. Hadza rock art is rare, but it exists. Some of it shows animals and people. Some of it is just lines or circles. No one knows for sure what these pictures mean. But Hadza elders say the art is connected to old stories, some of which come from dreams. Now think about the Aboriginal peoples of Australia. Their cultures are some of the oldest continuous cultures on Earth. For tens of thousands of years, Aboriginal people have painted images on rocks, carved trees, and made sand drawings. Their art is full of lines, dots, animal tracks, and spirit figures. Many of these images come from what they call the dreaming. That's a hard word to explain. It's not just dreams you have at night. It's a kind of ancient time when the world was made by spirit beings who still exist today, just out of sight. Aboriginal people say everything in the land comes from the dreaming, rivers, rocks, animals, even people. Stories from the dreaming are passed down in song and art. Some are about real animals and places, others are about giant creatures, monsters, or shapeshifters. The stories guide people through life. They explain the rules, show where to find water, or tell how to avoid danger. Dreams at night are important too. Sometimes elders or shamans have special dreams where spirits give them advice or warnings. A person might dream of a certain animal and know it's time to hunt or to avoid a place. Some art is made after people have these powerful dreams. They say the images help keep the dreaming alive. Let's cross the world to the Amazon rainforest. Many indigenous groups live in small villages along the rivers. They fish, hunt, and gather fruit and nuts. Their lives are shaped by the forest and its spirits. Shamans are important leaders. They use plants to enter trance states, sometimes with strong medicines that cause vivid visions. Among the Yanomami, for example, dreams are taken seriously. People share their dreams each morning. A dream can predict success in hunting, warn of sickness, or tell of an enemy. If a shaman dreams of a jaguar, it might mean danger is near. Sometimes, after a dream, people make drawings in the sand or carve symbols on wood. These images aren't meant to last forever. They're a way to share the dream with others. In some groups, dreams and visions are the main way to contact the spirit world. Sometimes people believe the world of dreams is just as real as the waking world. The rules are different there. Animals can talk, people fly, the dead visit the living. These ideas echo some of the ancient art found in caves and on rocks all over the world. Now think about the Inuit in the Arctic. Their lives are shaped by cold, ice, and long nights. The sun disappears in winter, then returns for endless days in summer. The Inuit have stories about spirits that live under the ice in the sky or inside animals. Dreaming is seen as a way to travel between worlds. Shamans, called Angakuk, use dreams to heal people, find lost objects, or predict the weather. The Inuit make carvings out of bone, ivory and stone. Some are tools, others are small figures, bears, seals or spirits with strange shapes. These carvings are often inspired by dreams or visions. Some are meant to protect people from harm. Some are given as gifts or used in rituals. Inuit stories mix real dangers, polar bears, freezing storms, with magical things. A hunter might dream of a talking animal or a place where the ice never cracks. Sometimes these dreams are warnings. Sometimes they're just stories to share on a long, dark night. Let's move to North America. Many Native American groups value dreams and visions. Among the Plains tribes, young people would go on vision quests. They'd fast, spend days alone in the wilderness, and wait for a vision or dream. Often, an animal would appear in the dream, an eagle, a wolf, a bear. That animal became their spirit guide, offering protection and advice. Sometimes people painted images from these dreams on rocks, shields, or clothing. The Ojibwe people made dream catchers, webs of string decorated with feathers and beads. These were hung above sleeping places. The idea is that bad dreams get caught in the web, while good dreams pass through. Dream catchers are a modern symbol now, but the belief in the power of dreams goes way back. Among the Chumash of California, dreams were seen as messages from the spirit world. Shamans would interpret dreams and sometimes make rock art showing what they'd seen. The art is full of sunbursts, spirals, and strange beings. It's a mix of real memories, dreams, and visions. Let's look at the Maori of New Zealand. Their stories talk about a world of ancestors, gods, and spirits. Dreams are one of the ways people get advice from their ancestors. A chief might dream of a coming storm, or a singer might dream a new song. Some Maori carvings and tattoos are inspired by dreams. The patterns tell a story about the person's family, their place in the world, and sometimes a vision from a dream. Across the Pacific, The islanders of Papua New Guinea also believe dreams are powerful. In some villages, dreams are used to solve arguments. If two people disagree, they might both sleep on it, then share their dreams in the morning. The dream that seems most true decides what to do next. Some artists make masks or figures based on these dreams, using bright colours and bold designs. Let's pause and think about what all these examples have in common. People from very different places, Africa, Australia, the Arctic, the Americas, the Pacific, see dreams as important. Sometimes dreams are seen as messages from the spirits. Sometimes they show the future. Sometimes they give warnings or advice. But almost everywhere dreams are shared. They're talked about. Around the fire in the morning or during rituals, dreams also show up in art. Sometimes the art is made after a dream or vision. Sometimes the art is meant to bring on dreams, like painted caves, carved figures, or musical instruments. Sometimes it's both. The art and the dreaming feed each other. There's another pattern too. In many groups, special people, shamans, elders, healers, are the dreamers for the whole community. They use dreams to solve problems, heal sickness, or find lost things. But ordinary people's dreams matter too. A child's dream might be seen as a message from an ancestor. A hunter's dream might guide the next hunt. Now, let's look at the way knowledge is passed down. In modern societies, we write things down. In most traditional groups, knowledge travels by word of mouth. Stories, songs, and art are the main ways to remember and share what matters. Dreams are woven into these stories. They become part of the group's memory. Here's something else. In many groups, dreams and waking life mix together. People don't always draw a hard line between what happens in sleep and what happens when you're awake. If you dream of a bear, it's as real as seeing one in the woods. If a spirit visits you in a dream, you treat it with respect. Sometimes people even say they can wake up inside a dream, know they're dreaming, and talk to spirits on purpose. This isn't just something from the past. Even today, people in many places believe in the power of dreams. They tell them to friends, write them in journals, or share them online. Maybe dreams are a kind of common ground, something all humans experience no matter where or when they live. What does all this tell us about early humans? First, it shows that dreams have always mattered. They weren't just random images. They were seen as messages, stories, warnings, or even visits to another world. Second, it suggests that art, music, and ritual are tied to dreaming. People make art to remember dreams, to help others dream, or to bring dream worlds to life. Third, it shows that imagination is a basic human need. People everywhere want to make sense of the unknown. They want to connect with things they can't see or control, like spirits, animals, the weather, or death. Dreams give them a way to do this. Art makes the invisible visible. Let's look at one more example. The Dogon people of Mali in West Africa. The Dogon are famous for their stories about the stars, the planets, and the spirit world. They say their ancestors came from a star called Sirius. The Dogon have rituals, dances, and masks that represent these cosmic stories. Some Dogon elders say they learned about the stars in dreams or visions. They make art, masks, carvings, and sand drawings to show these stories. For them, the line between dream and reality is thin. Now, scientists debate how much we can learn from these living groups. No group today is exactly like people from 30,000 or 50,000 years ago. Cultures change, adapt, and mix. But the basic patterns are there. Dreams matter. Art and music help people remember and share them. Rituals and stories keep the group together. Some scientists think the habits of sharing dreams, making art, and telling stories around the fire are as old as humans themselves. They might even be part of what made us human. Others say we have to be careful not to read too much into the present. Still, the similarities are hard to ignore. Think about this. In every place where people live close to the land, you find stories about dreams. You find art that mixes real life with imagination. You find rituals that help people move between the waking world and the dream world. You find music, song, and dance that blur the line between ordinary life and something bigger. And here's another point. In many traditional groups, dreams help solve real-world problems. A dream might warn of a coming storm. It might tell a hunter where to find food. It might help a sick person heal or a family fix a fight. Dreams are practical and spiritual at the same time. That's a powerful combination. There's also a sense of connection. In dreams, you can meet the dead, talk to animals, or visit places far away. For people who move with the seasons, who rely on the land and each other, that connection is everything. Dreams help hold the group together. They remind people of old stories, shared ancestors, and common hopes. So, when we look at cave art, carvings, or ancient music, we're not just seeing random marks, we're seeing the traces of people who dreamed, who wondered, who connected with each other across time and space. The evidence is there, in living groups, in their art, and in their words. Let's also not forget that dreams can be scary. Nightmares are part of life everywhere. Some groups have rituals to protect people from bad dreams. They might hang a charm, say a prayer, or make a small offering. Sometimes bad dreams are blamed on spirits or angry ancestors. Sometimes they're just a sign that something in waking life needs to change. That's another thing all humans share. The need to feel safe at night, to make sense of fear, to find hope in the darkness. Art, music, and ritual are ways to do this. They help people turn fear into something they can face, share, or even laugh about. When you put all this together, you see a pattern. Dreams, stories, art, and ritual flow together. They help people survive, remember, connect, and imagine. They help people make sense of the world, both the things they understand and the mysteries they can't explain. Maybe that's why art and dreams show up everywhere in every age. They're tools for living, for hoping, for reaching past what's right in front of us. So the living evidence tells us something simple but deep. Humans are dreamers and storytellers by nature. We turn our dreams into pictures and songs, rituals and dances. We share them with our group and with the people who come after us. Even now, somewhere in the world, a group is sitting by a fire sharing stories about what they dreamed last night. Someone is painting an image on a wall or carving a figure out of wood. Someone is singing a song that came to them in sleep. It's a thread that runs from the first fire to today. The details change, but the heart of it stays the same. Dreams matter, art matters, sharing them matters. And through this, we stay connected to each other, to our past, and to what we hope for in the future. So, as we keep looking for answers about early humans, we can learn a lot from the people who still dream and create today. Their lives, stories, and art help fill in the shadows left by ancient caves and silent stones. And that brings us to a new question. How did early humans think about their dreams? What did dreams mean to them, deep in the night, when the world was full of mystery? When you think about dreams, it's easy to imagine them as just stories your mind makes up at night. But for early humans, Dreams were much more than that. They weren't just private movies playing in someone's head. They were important. People believed dreams had meaning, power, and even a kind of reality of their own. So how did early humans actually understand their dreams? What did they think dreams were, and why did they matter so much? Let's dig into that mystery. First, put yourself in their shoes. You're living in a world without science, clocks, or written words. The line between day and night is sharp. When the sun goes down, darkness takes over. The world gets quiet except for the sounds of animals, wind, and fire. Sleep comes, and with it dreams, sometimes bright and strange, sometimes scary, sometimes comforting. For early people, dreams felt mysterious, maybe even supernatural. You fall asleep and suddenly you're somewhere else. You see things you can't explain. You meet people who aren't really there, or see animals you haven't met in real life. Sometimes you even see people who died long ago. It's no wonder that almost every culture has tried to explain what dreams are and why they happen. One idea that shows up again and again is that dreams are a kind of journey. Many early cultures believed that when you dream, your spirit leaves your body. It travels to other worlds, maybe the land of the dead, the world of animals, or a place where the gods live. This idea makes sense if you think about how real dreams can feel. You wake up with the memory of flying, running, or meeting someone far away. You didn't move, but it felt like you did. In some groups, people believed that dreams were messages. Maybe from the spirits, maybe from ancestors, maybe from the future. If you dreamed of a storm, it might mean danger was coming. If you saw an animal, maybe it was a sign you'd find one soon. Some dreams were warnings, others were gifts, like a new song, a story, or even advice on what to do next. Dreams could also be seen as meetings. In dreams, the living and the dead could talk. You might meet a lost family member or a famous ancestor. You might get advice that you couldn't get any other way. For people who moved with the seasons and lived close to the land, these dream meetings could be important. They helped connect people to their past, their group, and the world around them. Here's another theory. Dreams were a way to solve problems. Imagine you're a hunter. You face real dangers every day. Lions, snakes, cliffs, storms. At night, your mind works through these problems while you sleep. You dream about hunting, escaping danger, or finding water. Some scientists today think that dreams help people practice for real life. If you dream about running from a lion, you might react faster if you see one the next day. Of course, early humans didn't talk about practice or problem solving the way we do now, but they did believe that dreams could help them prepare for what might come. If someone had a dream about finding food, the whole group might listen. Dreams could shape the day's plans. They could even change what people believed was possible. There's another layer to all this. Dreams can be confusing. Sometimes they make sense, sometimes they don't. Early humans didn't have science to explain why dreams are weird. They used stories instead. In some places, people said dreams were caused by spirits who visited you at night. In others, dreams were seen as a sign that your soul was wandering, or that you'd been touched by a god or ancestor. For many, dreams were a test. Good dreams meant you were in balance with the world. Bad dreams meant something was wrong. Maybe you needed to fix a problem, make an offering, or stay away from a certain place. Some people even had special rituals to protect themselves from nightmares. They made charms, said prayers, or asked shamans for help. Now, let's look at how early humans tried to understand dreams in their daily lives. One big clue is the way they treated dreamers. In many groups, people who had strong or strange dreams were seen as special. They might become shamans, healers, or leaders. If someone dreamed of an animal, a spirit, or a new song, they might be asked to share it with everyone. The dream could become a story, a dance, or even a piece of art. In this way, dreams weren't just private. They were shared. People told their dreams to the group. Sometimes the whole camp would listen and decide what the dream meant. Was it a warning, a message, a sign to change plans? The group would talk it over and sometimes act on it. This made dreams part of the group's memory and wisdom. There's another way early humans made sense of dreams, through art. Think about cave paintings, carvings, music, and dance. These weren't just decorations, they were ways to bring dream worlds to life. If someone saw a strange animal or spirit in a dream, they might paint it on a cave wall. If a shaman dreamed of flying, maybe they'd carve a bird or wear feathers in a dance. Art let people share their dreams across time. A painting or carving could last for generations. Even if the dreamer was gone, the story stayed. This helped keep memories alive and made the world of dreams feel real and important. Some scientists think that dreams and art grew up together. Maybe the first paintings were inspired by dreams. Maybe making art helped people remember their dreams, or even have new ones. If you paint animals on a cave wall, maybe you dream about them that night. The line between dream and art gets blurry. That's part of the magic. Let's talk about patterns. Across many early cultures, certain dream themes show up again and again. People dream about animals, especially dangerous ones. They dream about flying, falling, being chased, or meeting the dead. These aren't random. They match the things that mattered most in daily life. For a hunter, dreaming about lions or leopards was serious. For someone mourning a lost loved one, dreaming of the dead was a way to stay connected. Dreams about animals could be warnings, but they could also be gifts. In some groups, dreaming of a powerful animal meant you got some of its strength. You might paint its picture, wear its tooth, or dance its dance. Some people believed you could even become that animal in your dreams. That's where you get stories and art showing people with animal heads or bodies. Dreams about flying or falling might have been a way to think about fear, hope, or freedom. When you're asleep, your body is safe, but your mind can go anywhere. Maybe that's why stories about flying shamans, birds, or spirits are so common in early art. Meeting the dead in dreams helped people deal with loss. If you lost a family member, you might see them in a dream. It could bring comfort, advice, or even a warning. Some groups believe these visits were real, proof that the dead lived on just out of sight. Now, let's look at another layer: dreams and the future. For early humans, dreams weren't just about the past or the present. Sometimes they were seen as windows into what was coming. If someone dreamed of rain, maybe it meant a storm was on the way. If they dreamed of victory in a hunt, it might give the group hope. Dreams could be used to plan, to prepare, or to warn. This belief in dreams as predictions shows up everywhere. In ancient Egypt, people wrote down their dreams and tried to figure out what they meant. In Mesopotamia, dream interpreters had special jobs. In Greece and Rome, dream temples were built where people went to sleep and hoped for a message from the gods. But long before writing, people were probably sharing and interpreting dreams. It was a way to deal with the unknown. If you couldn't control the weather, the animals, or sickness, maybe dreams gave you a hint about what was coming. It made the world feel less random. This brings us to the question of dream interpreters. Who got to decide what a dream meant? In many early groups, it was the shamans, elders, or special dreamers. They learned to read signs, not just in dreams, but in the world around them. If you dreamed of a snake, a shaman might say it was a warning, or maybe a sign of new life. If you dreamed of a storm, maybe the group needed to move camp. Dream interpretation was a skill. It wasn't just guesswork. People paid close attention to details. What animal appeared, what colour it was, how you felt in the dream. Over time, these details became part of tradition. Stories about dreams were passed down, and certain images took on special meaning. But dream meanings weren't always fixed. Sometimes, a dream changed based on what happened next. If someone dreamed of a bear, and then the group found bear tracks, the dream took on new power. If nothing happened, maybe the meaning faded. Dreams were alive, always shifting with the group's needs. Let's go even deeper. Some scientists today think dreams helped early humans handle strong feelings. Fear, hope, grief, excitement. These are big emotions. In a world full of danger, dreams might have been a safe way to deal with these feelings. You could face your fears in a dream without risking your life. You could find hope in a dream when things were hard in real life. For early people, this made dreams valuable, not just strange. Now think about how dreams shaped group life. If many people in a group had the same kind of dream, like seeing a certain animal or feeling a warning, it could change what the group did. Maybe they moved camp, changed plans, or started a ritual. Group dreams could build unity. They gave everyone a sense of connection, a shared story to hold on to. This group sharing is important. In many early cultures, dreams weren't just for individuals. They belonged to everyone. Telling dreams around the fire, listening to each other, making decisions together. These habits helped hold groups together. They made people feel less alone. It's also worth looking at how dreams and rituals work together. In many early groups, rituals were used to call dreams or help people remember them. Drumming, singing, dancing, or using special plants could help people have powerful dreams. Some groups even had dream contests. Who could have the wildest, deepest, or most helpful dream? The best dreamers became heroes, leaders, or healers. Dreams and rituals fed each other. A strong dream could inspire a new ritual. A ritual could spark new dreams. This cycle kept group life rich and creative. It gave people a way to handle the unknown and to pass down wisdom over the years. Let's talk about nightmares. Not all dreams were good. Nightmares could be scary, confusing, or leave people feeling shaken. Early humans didn't have science to explain bad dreams, so they came up with their own ideas. Maybe a nightmare meant a spirit was angry. Maybe it was a sign you needed to fix something in your life. Some groups made charms or did rituals to chase away bad dreams. Others told stories to help people face their fears. Facing nightmares together made them less scary. Telling your bad dream to the group, hearing advice or comfort, turned a private fear into a shared experience. Sometimes, the group made a joke or a song about nightmare. That helped turn fear into something lighter. So if you look at all these ways of thinking about dreams, a pattern starts to appear. Early humans saw dreams as bridges. Bridges between the living and the dead, between people and animals, between hope and fear, the known and the unknown. Dreams helped people make sense of a world that was often confusing and wild. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Some scientists think that the habit of sharing and interpreting dreams actually changed the way people thought. If you grow up in a group where everyone shares their dreams, you learn to think in pictures and stories. You get good at connecting ideas, looking for patterns, and seeing meaning in strange things. This might have helped early humans become better storytellers, artists, and leaders. Dreams may have helped people imagine things that didn't exist yet. If you can dream of flying, maybe one day you'll find a way to climb higher or build something new. If you dream of a better home or an easier life, maybe you'll start to invent new tools. The line between dreams and real life gets thin. Imagination becomes a tool for survival. Some scientists even think that dreaming, storytelling, and art grew together. When people started sharing dreams, they started making pictures and songs to go with them. When they made art, it sparked new dreams. This cycle could have helped humans create culture, something that sets us apart from every other animal. Here's another interesting point. In some places, people believe that dreams could shape the world. If you dreamed of success in a hunt, you might hunt better. If you dreamed of peace, maybe the group got along better. This is called the power of belief. Even today, people talk about the power of positive thinking or the danger of bad omens. For early people, dreams were a way to use the mind to change reality. Dreams, then, weren't just private experiences. They were part of the group's way of life. They helped people remember, plan, hope, and face fear. They gave people a way to connect with each other and the mystery of the world. You might wonder, did everyone see dreams the same way? Not really. Different groups had different ideas. Some saw dreams as messages from the gods. Others thought dreams were journeys of the soul. Some believed dreams were just what happened when your mind was free at night. The details changed, but the habit of paying attention to dreams was everywhere. Even as people built cities, invented writing, and started new religions, the power of dreams didn't go away. Ancient kings and queens had dream interpreters at their courts. Warriors slept with special charms to bring good dreams. Priests and shamans taught people how to use dreams to heal, predict the future, or talk with the dead. But the roots of all these beliefs go deep, back to the first humans who wondered about the meaning of a strange dream after a long night. Back to the fire, to the cave, to the songs and dances that fill the dark with light. So, when you think about early humans and their dreams, don't picture them as confused or lost. They were trying to make sense of the same mysteries we face today. Why do we dream? What do our dreams mean? Can they help us live better, safer, or happier lives? Early people didn't have science to answer these questions, but they had stories, art, and each other. They turned dreams into songs and pictures, rituals and advice. They made dreams matter for themselves and for their group. And maybe, just maybe, those habits of sharing, imagining, and believing helped humans grow into who we are now. Dreamers, storytellers, artists, and survivors. So the next time you wake up from a wild dream, remember, you're part of a very old story. A story that goes back to the first people who ever wondered about the strange worlds they visited at night. And just like them, you're still searching for meaning in the dark. But here's the thing. The way early humans thought about dreams wasn't just about the past. It might have shaped our future too. Did dreams change the course of human evolution? Did they help us invent, create, and survive in ways no other animal could? That's the next big question, and it leads us into a whole new layer of the mystery. So let's get into it. Did dreaming actually play a part in how humans evolved? That's a big question. Most people don't think about dreams when they talk about evolution. Usually you hear about tools, fire, language, or even upright walking. But dreams? not so much. Still, some scientists think dreaming might have helped humans survive and become the species we are today. Here's the thing. Every animal with a brain probably dreams, at least a little. Cats, dogs, mice, even birds. Scientists have watched them sleep. You see paws twitching, eyes moving under eyelids, or wings fluttering. It looks like they're chasing something or running away in their sleep. But humans take dreaming much further. We turn dreams into stories, art, and culture. So why would dreaming matter so much for us? Let's look at a few ideas. First, think about the dangers early humans faced. There were predators, cliffs, storms, and rival groups. Every day there were choices to make: where to hunt, when to move, who to trust. Making a mistake could be deadly. Some scientists believe dreams helped our brains practice, like running drills for the mind. This isn't just about remembering where the lions hunt or what berries are safe. It's about running through new problems and finding new answers. Imagine you live thousands of years ago. You fall asleep, and in your dreams, you're running from a wild animal, or trying to cross a river, or solving a tricky puzzle. Your real body is safe in your shelter, but your brain is busy. It's acting out possible dangers, trying different moves, learning what might work. The next day, if you face a real threat, your mind might react faster. It's like mental training, but you don't even know you're doing it. There's some evidence for this. Modern studies show that people who dream about a problem are more likely to solve it the next day. For example, students who dream about a puzzle or a test often do better. Soldiers who dream about dangerous situations sometimes cope better with stress. So maybe, long ago, dreaming gave hunters and gatherers a survival edge. But there's another side. Dreaming might also help people handle emotions. Life for early humans wasn't just about fighting and hunting. This was loss, fear, excitement, and hope. When someone died, or food was short, or a storm raged for days, people had to cope. Dreams might have helped process these feelings. In sleep, you could face your fears in a safe way. You could feel joy or sadness without risk. Some dreams let you work through tough memories or imagine better outcomes. That could help you bounce back when things were hard, or keep going when you felt alone. Now let's talk about creativity. Humans are different from other animals because we imagine new things. We invent tools, make art, tell stories, and build shelters. Dreaming is pure imagination. In a dream, you can talk to animals, fly over mountains, or visit places you've never seen. Your mind connects things in new ways. Sometimes the wildest dreams spark real ideas. There are famous stories of people inventing things after dreaming about them. Songs, machines, even scientific discoveries. Maybe, long ago, dreaming helped early people come up with new tools or ways to hunt. Maybe it helped them solve problems no one else could. And here's something interesting. Our closest relatives, the great apes, probably dream too. But as far as we know, they don't paint, sing, or tell stories about dreams. They don't build cultures around them. That's a human thing. Turning dreams into art, stories, or rituals might have made our group stronger and smarter. If you can share a dream, you can share a warning or a hope. You can inspire others to try something new. You can help your group remember important things or imagine a better future. So, did dreaming change our brains? It's possible. Scientists who study sleep have found that humans spend a lot of time in REM sleep, the stage where most dreams happen. Babies spend even more time in this stage. Some animals have REM sleep, but not as much as we do. Maybe dreaming helped our brains grow bigger, or helped us learn faster. Maybe it's one of the secrets to why we're so creative. Let's look at another angle. Dreams might have helped people handle the unknown. Early humans didn't have science. They couldn't predict weather with satellites or cure sickness with medicine. The world was full of mysteries. Dreaming was one way to deal with that. If you dreamed of rain and it rained the next day, maybe you felt more in control. If you dreamed of finding food, maybe you searched harder. Dreams gave people a reason to try, even when things looked bad. Some scientists say that believing in dreams, even if they're just random, could have been helpful. If you have hope, you keep going. If you see a pattern, you look for meaning. That makes people persistent. It makes them work together or try new things. Even today, people who believe in their dreams often push through hard times. Maybe that's an old habit from our earliest days. Now let's get a bit more technical, but keep it simple. When you sleep, your brain sorts through memories. It decides what to keep and what to forget. Some scientists think dreaming is part of that process. In your dreams, you replay parts of your day. You mix them with old memories or new ideas. This makes your mind more flexible. You're not just stuck in the past, you can imagine the future. For early humans, that kind of mental flexibility would be a big advantage. If you always do things the same way, you might not survive if the world changes. But if you can dream up something new, you can adapt. Maybe that's why humans spread to every continent, learn to fish, build fires, and make clothing from animal skins. We weren't the strongest or the fastest animals, but we could imagine, plan, and try new things. There's even a theory that dreaming helped humans talk to each other. Language is one of our biggest advantages, but language takes practice. You have to learn words, grammar, stories, and jokes. Some scientists think dreams were like early practice for storytelling. When you wake up and tell someone your dream, you're learning how to explain strange things, how to use your imagination, and how to listen. That's good training for real life. Think about it this way. If you're living in a small group, you have to work together. You have to share food, protect each other, and make decisions. Sharing dreams might have helped people trust each other. If someone dreams about danger, the group pays attention. If someone dreams about a good hunt, everyone gets excited. This builds group spirit. It makes people feel connected. Here's another idea. Sometimes evolution isn't just about one trait. It's about how everything fits together. Early humans who dreamed well might have been better at solving problems, handling emotions, and working with others. Over time, those skills could have helped their families survive. The habit of dreaming, sharing, and imagining might have spread because it worked. Let's talk about numbers for a moment. Scientists have measured how much time humans spend dreaming. On average, adults spend about 2 hours a night dreaming. That's about 20% of sleep time. Over a lifetime, that adds up to 6 years of dreams. That's a lot of time for the brain to practice, imagine, and create. It's hard to believe that all that dreaming is just a waste. Evolution usually gets rid of things that don't help. Here's something else to think about. Nightmares are scary, but even they might have a purpose. If you dream about something dangerous, you might be better prepared if it happens in real life. Some scientists call this threat rehearsal. It's like a fire drill for the mind. Kids and adults both have nightmares. Maybe it's the brain's way of making sure we're ready for trouble. There's some evidence, from modern tribes and small groups. People who live close to nature, like the Hadza in Africa or the Tsimane in South America, have dreams about animals, hunting, and danger more often than people in cities. Their dreams match their daily lives. When scientists ask, these people say their dreams help them plan, warn them, or give them advice. That looks a lot like what early humans might have done, but not everyone agrees. Some scientists think dreams are just random brain activity. They say there's no plan, just the mind cleaning up after a long day. But even if that's true, humans are good at finding meaning. We turn random dreams into stories. We share them, remember them, and sometimes act on them. That habit itself might be important, even if dreams start out as random noise. Let's look at another example. In some cultures, dreams are seen as places to meet the dead or the gods. That might sound strange, but it also helps people deal with grief and hope. If you lose someone and see them in a dream, it might help you heal. If you dream of a god or a spirit, it might give you courage. These feelings can help a group stay strong, even when times are tough. Dreams might also help with learning. Some studies show that people remember things better after dreaming about them. If you're learning a new skill, like throwing a spear, weaving, or tracking animals, your brain might practice while you sleep. That makes you better at it when you wake up. For early humans, every bit of practice could mean the difference between life and death. And then there's the question of group identity. When people share dreams, they build a common story. Maybe it's about a great hunt, a lost loved one, or a powerful animal. Over time, these shared dreams can turn into legends, songs, or even religions. That helps the group stick together. It gives people a sense of who they are and where they belong. So, is there proof that dreams drove human evolution? No one can say for sure. We can't go back in time and watch our ancestors sleep. But there's a lot of clues that dreaming did something important. It's one of those mysteries that's hard to test, but easy to wonder about. Here's what makes it tricky. Evolution works slowly. It takes thousands of years for habits to become built into the body or brain. But dreaming is common in all humans, everywhere. It doesn't matter if you live in the Arctic, the desert, or a city. Everybody dreams. That's a sign that dreams must do something useful, or at least did in the past. Another thing to think about, dreams are weird. Sometimes they make no sense at all. Still, humans are wired to look for meaning, even in nonsense. That habit could be a double-edged sword. On one hand, it helps us solve new problems, invent things, and make art. On the other, it can lead to superstition or false hope. But if you look at the big picture, the benefits probably outweigh the risks. We're also the only species that tries to remember, record, and share dreams. Ancient peoples made dream journals, carved dream scenes into stone, and told dream stories for generations. Even today, people write books and make movies based on dreams. That's not just for fun. It's a way of making sense of the world, of building shared knowledge. Let's get practical. If you live in a small group and one person dreams of a new way to trap fish, that idea could spread fast. If it works, the group eats better. If someone dreams up a new story to explain the stars, that story helps children remember what's safe or dangerous. Dreams can turn into real changes, even if they start out as wild ideas. There's also a flip side. Sometimes dreams might lead people astray. You could chase after a dream that doesn't come true. You could see a warning that never happens. But as long as the good dreams help more than the bad ones hurt, dreaming would stick around. And here's the wild part. Even today, scientists don't fully know why we dream. There are many theories: problem solving, memory, emotion, creativity, threat rehearsal, and more. Maybe the answer is all of them at once. Maybe dreams are like a Swiss Army knife for the mind. They help with a little bit of everything. So did dreaming shape human evolution? There's no final answer. But it's hard to imagine humans without dreams. They help us remember the past, imagine the future, and connect with each other. They turn fear into stories, hope into plans, and memories into art. If you look at all the evidence, dreams seem to be a big part of what makes us human. Maybe they didn't build the first fire or invent the first tool, but they might have helped us dream those things up in the first place. Now think about this. If dreams helped us survive, they also helped us become more than just survivors. They helped us become creators, storytellers, and explorers. That's something no other animal does, at least not like we do. So next time you wake up from a dream, strange, happy, or scary, remember, it's part of an ancient story. People have been dreaming for thousands of years. Maybe it's how we made it this far. That brings us to another mystery. What happens when people start having the same dreams, or when dreams start to shape whole cultures? How do shared dreams change the way groups see the world? That's the next part of the story, and it's just as strange as anything you've ever dreamed. Let's get into the evidence for shared dreams. Not just individual dreaming, but dreams that move from one person to another. Dreams that ripple through a whole group or even a whole culture. This is where it gets really interesting, because now we're talking about dreams that shape stories, beliefs, and maybe even history. Think about how people have always lived together in groups, families, tribes, villages. People talk, they sit around fires, share food, and tell stories late into the night. Now imagine a group of people thousands of years ago lying under the stars. Someone wakes up shaken by a vivid dream. Maybe they saw a giant bird in the sky or a river turning to blood. Maybe they dreamed of a lost loved one, calling out from the darkness. The dream feels real, almost like a warning or a message. So they tell the others. The dream gets shared, maybe even acted out. If the dream is scary or strange, people listen more closely. They remember these dreams. They tell them again the next night, and the next. Soon, the dream isn't just one person's story. It starts to belong to the whole group. Here's the thing. We have real evidence that this happens. Anthropologists, people who study human cultures, have spent years with groups who live in ways similar to early humans. In places like the Amazon, Papua New Guinea, and parts of Africa, some tribes still share dreams as a part of normal life. In these places, dreams aren't private. They're talked about in the morning right after waking up. Sometimes the whole group sits together and takes turns telling what they saw in their sleep. For example, in the Amazon, the Tucano people treat dreams almost like news. When someone dreams of a snake biting a child, the village takes it seriously. If the dream feels like a warning, people avoid the river or keep children close for a few days. If someone dreams of a successful hunt, the hunters might go out with extra hope. Sometimes dreams even decide when the group moves camp or who leads the next ritual. This isn't just one group. Anthropologists have recorded dream sharing in over 90 different societies around the world. In Aboriginal Australia, dream stories carry huge meaning. Some people believe the world itself was dreamed into being. The dream time isn't just a myth, it's a whole way of seeing reality. In these cultures, dreams are seen as a bridge to another world, not just random thoughts. Even in places where people don't see dreams as magical, the sharing itself matters. It helps the group bond. When you tell your dream, you're showing a piece of your mind. You're trusting people with something private. That builds closeness, It lets others see your worries, your hopes, and your imagination. This habit might have helped early humans grow tighter communities. Let's get more specific. In North America, the Ojibwe people have a tradition called the Dream Fast. Young people spend days alone in the woods, hoping for a vision. Whatever dream or vision they have, they share it with elders when they return. These dreams can decide someone's role in the tribe. Maybe the dream says you're meant to be a healer, a hunter, or a storyteller. The dream becomes part of your identity, and everyone knows it. In parts of Siberia, shamans, kind of like spiritual guides, use dreams to find answers. If someone is sick, the shaman might dream about what's wrong. The group listens to these dreams and sometimes follows their advice. Even today, some Siberian groups keep dream diaries, sharing every detail with each other. Now let's talk about how dreams can spread. Sometimes a dream starts with one person, but if they share it and it's powerful or scary, others might start dreaming about the same thing. It's like the dream catches in people's minds. Psychologists call this dream contagion. It doesn't have to be supernatural. If you hear a story about a monster, you might dream about it too. If the whole group is worried about danger, they might all have similar dreams. There are famous examples of this. In 1518, in a town called Strasbourg, people started dancing in the streets. Hundreds of them. Some historians think the whole episode started with shared dreams and fears. People saw others dancing and falling into trances. Soon, they dreamed about dancing themselves. The line between dream and waking life got blurry. In just medieval Europe, there were stories of dream epidemics. One person would dream of a ghost or demon, and the fear would sweep through the village. Others would report similar dreams. Sometimes the stories spread so far that whole regions believed in the same legend. The dream became a kind of shared reality. Let's look at numbers. In one study, researchers asked people in 20 countries if they'd ever had a dream that matched someone else's. Over half said yes. Some described dreaming about the same event before it happened. A birth, a death, a storm. Others said they dreamed about friends or family, and later learned those people had similar dreams on the same night. Skeptics say this is just coincidence. After all, people talk about their dreams all the time, and sometimes details overlap. But the point isn't whether the dreams predict the future. What matters is that people believe the dreams mean something, and that belief shapes what they do next. Now let's get into dream sharing and rituals. In some ancient cultures, dreams were part of big ceremonies. The Greeks built temples for dreamers. People would sleep inside, hoping for a message from the gods. When they woke up, they shared their dreams with priests, who wrote them down on clay tablets. Some of these dream records still exist. There are thousands of them, listing dreams about healing, warnings, or advice about the future. The Egyptians kept dream books too. They wrote down common dream images, like snakes, rivers, or flying birds, and what each one meant. If you dreamed of a snake, it might mean danger or wisdom, depending on the context. These books were used by priests to help people understand their dreams. The advice was shared with whole communities, not just the dreamer. In ancient China, dreams played a role in government. Emperors sometimes made decisions based on dreams, either their own or those of trusted advisors. There are records of dreams being reported to the emperor as official news. If someone dreamed about a flood or a famine, the court took it seriously. Sometimes whole towns would change their plans because of a dream. This goes deeper than just telling stories. When a group shares and believes in a dream, it can change real events. If enough people dream of disaster, they might build shelters or move to safer ground. If a dream predicts good luck, the group might take risks or celebrate. Over time, these shared dreams can become legends, myths, or even religious beliefs. You can see this in the world's oldest stories. Many cultures have tales about the first people or the first animals based on dreams. These stories get told again and again. Sometimes they explain why the world is the way it is. Other times they warn about dangers or promise rewards. The dreams become a kind of memory for the whole group, a way of passing down knowledge without writing. Now, let's get into how shared dreams help with group identity. When people dream about the same things, they feel connected. Imagine a tribe that believes their ancestors speak through dreams. If several people have the same dream about an ancestor, that story gets woven into the group's sense of self. It might become a reason for a new ritual, a new rule, or even a new way of living. In some places, shared dreams are used to solve arguments. If two groups are fighting, a respected elder might dream about a solution. The dream is shared with both sides. Sometimes people trust the dream more than their own opinions. That can bring peace, or at least help people listen to each other. In that way, shared dreams can hold a group together when things get tough. Let's talk about more recent times. During World War I, soldiers in the trenches sometimes had similar dreams about home, about peace, or about coming battles. Letters from that time show men describing almost the same dream images. Psychologists think this happens when people go through big events together. The stress, fear, and hope mix together and come out in dreams. There are even stories of people in different countries dreaming about the same things during big disasters, like earthquakes or storms. Maybe it's just because everyone is thinking about the same news. But sometimes the dreams are so specific that people wonder if there's something more going on. Now, let's look at the science. Is there a way to test if dreams really spread? Some sleep researchers have tried experiments. In one, people were shown a scary movie before bed. That night, many participants had dreams with similar themes: darkness, running, being chased. This shows that what you hear or see before sleep can shape your dreams. If a whole group hears the same story, they might dream about it together. In another experiment, students were asked to talk about a dream together before sleep. Many of them reported dreaming about the same images as their friends. This doesn't mean dreams are magic. It just shows that minds can pick up on the same ideas. When you live in a group, your dreams can echo what everyone is feeling or worrying about. But what about dreams shaping culture? Here's where things get big. Some of the world's most famous stories may have started as shared dreams. The Iroquois, a Native American group, used dream sharing as part of their decision-making. If a leader had a dream about a new law or plan, it was discussed by the council. Sometimes, these dreams led to real changes in how the group lived. In the Pacific Islands, dreams are a source of invention. There are stories of people dreaming about new types of canoes or fishing tools. After sharing the dream, the group tries out the idea. If it works, the dream gets credit. If it fails, they move on. But the habit of listening to dreams keeps the group open to new ideas. Let's get philosophical for a second. Why would humans develop this habit? Some scientists think it's about trust. If you share a dream with someone and they believe you, it creates a bond. It says, "I trust you with my secret world." Over thousands of years, groups that shared dreams might have gotten better at working together. They could handle threats, try new things, and stick together in hard times. It also helps with memory. If a story is tied to a dream, people remember it longer. Imagine a parent telling their child, "I dreamed you'd be a great hunter." That sticks in the child's mind. It shapes how they see themselves. Over time, shared dream stories can shape the values and hopes of a whole group. Now, let's talk about art. Many ancient cave paintings look like dream scenes. Strange animals, floating shapes, half-human figures. Some researchers think these paintings are based on shared dreams or visions. In places like Lascaux, in France, the same images appear over and over. Maybe one person dreamed of a giant bull, and others started seeing it too. Together, they painted it on the walls, turning a dream into a lasting image. This habit didn't stop with caves. Over time, shared dream images show up in myths, songs, dances, and even buildings. Temples, pyramids, and totem poles sometimes tell dream stories in stone or wood. When you see the same symbols in many places, it's a clue that the dream was shared by lots of people, not just one. Let's look at some numbers again. In a study of 1,000 people across 5 countries, about 65% said they'd shared a dream with someone else at least once. Of those, nearly half said the dream changed how they felt about the other person. Some said it brought them closer. Others said it made them rethink something important. Shared dreams can even shape what a group fears or hopes for. In medieval Europe, people dreamed about witches, demons, and the end of the world. These dreams showed up in paintings, plays, and even court trials. During the Black Death, a plague that killed millions, people shared dreams about angels, cures, and doomsday. These dreams shaped how they reacted, sometimes with hope, sometimes with fear. What about today? In the age of the internet, dreams still get shared, just faster. People post dreams on social media. Some dreams go viral, with thousands of people reading and responding. Sometimes people even dream about stories they saw online, showing that shared dreams aren't just an ancient habit. They're still with us. Let's bring it all together. The evidence shows that dream sharing happens everywhere. It's not just one culture or one time in history. From ancient temples to modern chat rooms, people tell each other their dreams. Sometimes the dreams change behavior, making people more careful, more hopeful, or more creative. Other times they just help people feel less alone. Dream sharing isn't always about magic or prophecy. Most of the time it's about connection. It's about finding meaning in the strange images our minds create at night. When you wake up and tell someone your dream, you open a door. You invite them into your world. When they listen or share a dream of their own, the connection grows stronger. And that's the thing. For early humans, this habit may have been one of the secrets to survival. Groups that trusted each other, shared ideas, and worked together had a better chance. Dreams, strange as they are, could help keep people united. They could warn, inspire, or comfort, sometimes all at once. So the next time you hear someone talk about a weird dream, remember, this is an ancient habit. It's one of the ways humans have always made sense of the unknown. It's how we've built stories, cultures, and maybe even our deepest friendships. And now, let's take the story a step further. Were the dreams of ancient people really so different from our own? Or have the same themes echoed through human sleep for thousands of years? That's the next mystery to explore. Let's see. If the dreams of ancient people were really so different from the dreams we have today? Or is it possible that human dreams have always circled around the same themes? To get at this, we need to look at what people dream about now, and what little we know about dreams in the distant past. Then we can compare what matches, what's new. First, let's look at modern dreams. Every night, people all over the world close their eyes and drift into dreamland. Scientists have studied thousands of these dreams. In sleep labs, people are woken up in the middle of the night and asked to tell what they saw. Others keep journals, writing down every detail as soon as they wake up. What comes out of all this? The patterns are clear. Most dreams are not wild fantasy. They're not about flying to Saturn or talking to animals, at least not most of the time. Instead, most dreams are about the same everyday things: being chased, falling, losing something, showing up late, or facing danger. People dream about their families, their friends, and things that worry them. They dream about being lost, being trapped, or searching for something important. School dreams are common: forgetting homework, missing the bus, or failing a test. Adults dream about work, money, or losing their job. Sometimes there are strange details, a tiger in the hallway, or a door that leads nowhere. But the feelings are familiar: fear, hope, confusion, excitement. It's like the brain takes pieces from real life, mixes them up, and serves them back as a story. Now, let's talk about the big dream themes. Psychologists have collected thousands of dream reports. When you sort them out, the same images keep coming up, no matter where people live. Here are a few that almost everyone has had: falling from a high place, being chased, losing teeth, flying, showing up unprepared, being late, meeting someone who has died, or being naked in public. These show up in dream journals from America, Japan, Brazil, South Africa, almost everywhere. What does this mean? It means that human dreams are built from basic fears and hopes. Being chased, maybe it's about running from danger. Falling, maybe it's about losing control, losing teeth. Some think it's about fear of change or getting older. Flying, maybe it's about freedom or wanting to escape. Even in modern cities with all our gadgets and bright lights, people still dream about the same things as their ancestors. It's not just random. Here's where it gets interesting. When scientists looked at dreams from people living in small traditional groups, like hunter-gatherers, they found the same themes. People dream about wild animals, getting lost, bad weather, or losing someone in the night. Some dreams are about hunting, finding food, or making a fire. Others are about birth, death, or the spirits of ancestors. The dreams feel personal, but the images are shared by the whole group. So, what about ancient people? We don't have dream journals from 10,000 years ago. We don't have audio recordings or videos, but we do have clues. The first clue is art. Cave paintings from places like France and Spain show strange scenes. There are animals with human hands, people with bird heads, wild patterns, and things that don't exist in real life. Some caves even have shapes that look like the patterns people see when they close their eyes. Dots, zigzags, spirals. These are called entoptic patterns. They show up when the brain is half awake, half dreaming. Archaeologists think some of these paintings might be from dreams or visions. Why else would people paint things that didn't exist? In some caves, the paintings are deep underground, in spaces where no sunlight ever reached. You'd have to crawl through darkness, squeeze through tiny gaps, and finally reach a hidden chamber. There, by the light of a flickering torch, someone painted a giant animal or a strange figure. It's not hard to imagine that these images came from dreams, or something close to dreaming. Let's zoom in on a single cave, Lascaux in France. Painted over 17,000 years ago, the walls are covered with wild bulls, deer, horses, and even a strange man with a bird's head. Some experts think this bird-headed man is having a vision or is part of a dream story. Others say the scene might show a shaman, a kind of healer, travelling through the dream world. The exact meaning is lost, but the feeling is clear. These images aren't just about daily life. They're about something deeper. What about other clues? Some ancient graves have little figurines, beads, or carved animals placed inside. People carried these objects with them, sometimes for years. Maybe they were lucky charms or reminders of a dream or a vision. There are even old stories, passed down through myths, where the hero gets advice from a dream or meets an ancestor in their sleep. Now, let's compare these ancient images to today's dreams. Here's the first big match: fear of danger. Early humans lived with real threats: lions, wolves, snakes, and other people. Many cave paintings show these animals, sometimes in scary or magical scenes. Modern people still dream of being chased or attacked. That hasn't changed. Second, dreams about getting lost or searching for something. Imagine life before maps or phones. Getting lost could be deadly. Even now, people often dream about wandering through strange places, looking for home. That fear runs deep. Third, dreams about loved ones. Finding a lost friend, saying goodbye to someone who's died, or meeting a family member in a dream. These are some of the oldest stories in human history. Even today, people wake up from dreams about family feeling shaken or comforted. Ancient graves sometimes have objects that look like gifts for the person's journey, almost like the living wanted to help the dead in their sleep. Fourth, dreams about power or magic. Cave art sometimes shows people flying, turning into animals, or talking to spirits. Even now, dreams about flying or having special powers are common. In old stories, dreamers can visit other worlds, talk to gods, or change the future. Modern movies and games are full of these ideas too. So the big themes, danger, being lost, loved ones, magic, show up in both ancient art and modern dreams. In other words, the stuff that matters most to people hasn't changed much. The details are different, but the feelings are the same. Let's look at some numbers from dream research. In one study, scientists collected dream reports from people in 10 countries. About 80% of people said their dreams were about things they cared about in real life: family, work, school, danger, or love. Only about 10% said their dreams were totally random or made no sense. The rest were about memories, worries, or hopes. That matches what little we know about ancient dream stories. People dream about what they care about and what they fear. Another study asked people to describe their most common nightmares. The top answers: being chased, falling, losing someone, or being trapped. These are the same dangers that would have scared early humans. Back then, a broken leg or lost child could mean death. Today the details are softer, but the feeling is the same. Now let's talk about dreams and problem solving. Some scientists think dreams help us practice for real life. If you dream about being chased, maybe your brain is getting ready for danger. If you dream about finding food, maybe it's because you're worried about having enough. This idea is called threat rehearsal. It's like a mental fire drill. Animals do it too. Rats dream about running through mazes. Cats twitch their paws in their sleep like they're hunting. So, if early humans dreamed about danger, hunting, or getting lost, maybe it was the brain's way of getting ready. Modern dreams are similar. People dream about work problems, school tests, or arguments with friends. The details are new, but the purpose might be the same. Let's talk about one more thing: dreams and creativity. There are stories of people waking up with new ideas. The chemist who discovered the shape of a molecule dreamed of a snake biting its own tail. Paul McCartney dreamed the melody for yesterday. In ancient times, people said dreams brought them new tools, songs or ways to hunt. When you put all this together, it looks like dreams have always been a source of invention. Now let's compare how dreams are shared today versus the past. In earlier sections, we talked about how groups shared dreams and made them part of rituals. Today, dreams are often private, but people still tell each other, "I had the weirdest dream last night." Some people post dreams online. Others use dreams for art, writing, or problem solving. The habit of sharing hasn't disappeared. It's just changed shape. Let's look at a real example. In modern Japan, some people believe that the first dream of the new year, called Hatsuyumi, is special. If you dream of Mount Fuji, a hawk, or an eggplant, it's good luck. People hope for these dreams and talk about them the next day. It's a small thing, but it shows the old pattern is still there, connecting dreams to hope, luck, and the group. In the United States, dream interpretation books are everywhere. People look up what their dreams mean. They talk about dreams at breakfast, or laugh about them with friends. Some use dreams for self-help or therapy. Even if people don't believe dreams can predict the future, they still want to know what their dreams say about their lives. Let's step back for a moment. If you put all these pieces together, you see a pattern. Dreams are shaped by what people care about. The basic themes, danger, love, loss, hope, are the same everywhere. The images change, but the feelings last. Art, stories, and rituals use dreams as fuel. Even the act of sharing a dream, whether around a fire or on a phone, brings people together. Let's ask a big question. Do dreams ever really change? The world has changed a lot in the last 10,000 years. We have cities, cars, the internet, and space travel. But most dreams are still about running, falling, searching, loving, and being afraid. The brain hasn't changed as much as the world around us. The hardware is the same. The dreams are too. But there are some new twists. Today, people dream about cell phones, airplanes, or being late for a Zoom call. Kids dream about video games. Adults dream about losing their wallet or forgetting their password. The details are fresh, but the worries are old. Missing out, losing touch, not being ready. Let's talk about one more modern change: the speed of sharing. In the past, dreams spread slowly, one person at a time. Now, a dream can go viral in a single night. People post their dreams on social media, and strangers around the world reply, "I had the same dream." Sometimes people even start dream chains, where one person's story sparks a wave of similar dreams. This doesn't mean the dreams are supernatural. It just shows how connected minds can be, even across distance. Some scientists wonder if this kind of dream sharing, on a global scale, could shape culture in new ways. Imagine a song, a movie, or a meme spreading so fast that it starts showing up in people's dreams everywhere. The group isn't just a tribe anymore, it's the whole world. But the basics are still the same. Dreams are private stories that sometimes become public. They start in one mind, but can end up shaping what everyone thinks and feels. In that way, the dreams of early humans and the dreams of today aren't so different. They're shaped by the same hopes and fears, told in different words. So what can we learn from this? First, that the human mind is stubborn. We dream the same way, no matter what the world looks like. Second, that dreams connect us, not just to each other, but to everyone who's ever lived. When you dream, You're joining a line that goes back thousands of years. And here's something else. Dreams remind us of what matters most. The fear of being lost. The joy of finding someone you love. The thrill of flying, even if it's just in your mind. These are the same feelings that shaped ancient stories, old paintings, and the first songs sung around a fire. Maybe that's why dreams have always been a source of mystery and wonder. They're proof that deep down people haven't changed as much as we think. Our clothes, our homes, our tools, those are new. But our dreams? Those are old as the first story ever told, as old as the first person who ever closed their eyes and drifted into the dark, hoping for a sign. So, the next time you wake up from a strange dream, remember, you're not alone. You're sharing a habit with everyone who's ever lived. From cave painters to astronauts, from ancient shamans to modern teenagers, we're all dreamers. And maybe, just maybe, that's the real secret behind the power of dreams. They keep us connected, across time and space, through all the changes. They remind us that, at heart, we're all looking for the same things. Safety, love, meaning, and a little bit of magic in the night. Now let's think about what all this means for the biggest mystery of all. Why do dreams feel so real? And why do they matter so much? That's where we'll go next. Here's where the whole thing gets strange. We spend all this time talking about what early humans dreamed about and how their dreams might match ours. The truth is, even after all the evidence, the research and the endless comparisons, the mystery isn't solved. Not really. There's still a gap between what we know and what we feel. It's like looking through a fog at something moving on the other side. You can see the shape, but not the details. And that's where the big questions hide. Why do dreams feel so real when you're in them, yet so strange when you wake up? Why do some dreams shake you, or stick with you for years, while others fade before breakfast? Why do people sometimes dream the same thing, even when they live thousands of miles apart or in different centuries? There are theories, sure, but no final answers. Let's break it down. We know ancient people drew pictures on cave walls. We know they left behind carvings, painted patterns, and tiny statues, but we'll never know exactly what they saw in their sleep. All we have are guesses. Did the person who painted a lion on a cave wall actually dream of lions? Or was it just a story or a memory or a vision from someone else? We're looking at shadows and trying to find the person who made them. Modern science can track what happens in the brain during sleep. There are machines that measure waves and spikes. They show when someone is dreaming. But even today, no one can step inside another person's dream. You can ask them to describe it, but words always fall short. A dream feels huge inside your mind, but tiny when you try to explain it. The feelings slip away, the colours fade. Sometimes the dream was never about the images at all. It was about the feeling. That's the real mystery. Why do dreams matter so much to us? All through history, people have tried to answer that. Some said dreams were messages from the gods. Others thought they were windows into the future, or the voice of your heart, or just leftover noise from the brain. In ancient Egypt, people slept in temples hoping for a healing dream. In Greece, doctors listened to dreams to pick the right cure. In China, dreams were sometimes warnings, sometimes advice, sometimes just a visit from an ancestor. And today, some people say dreams are random. Others say they help us solve problems or deal with feelings we can't face when we're awake. But here's the thing. Nobody really knows. That's both frustrating and kind of wonderful. It means dreams are one of the last parts of life that science can't fully pin down. We can map the stars and split atoms, but dreams slip through our fingers. Every person who's ever lived has walked through that world alone. Let's look at some examples that keep the mystery alive. There are stories of people having the same dream on the same night, even though they never met. There are dreams that seem to predict the future, sometimes in small ways like knowing who'll call you, sometimes in bigger ways like warning about danger. Some people dream of places they've never seen, or people who don't exist. Other dreams are so real you wake up with tears on your face or sweat on your hands. Are these just tricks of the brain? Maybe. But nobody can explain why they feel so powerful, or why some dreams feel more true than anything in real life. Sometimes a dream can change the way you see the world. It can help you let go of old pain or see a problem in a new way, or remind you of someone you lost. That's not just random noise. Think about the way dreams sometimes bring up things you forgot. A face from childhood, a place you haven't been in years. It's like your mind is a deep cave, and dreams are the torch that lights up the hidden corners. Maybe that's why dreams can be scary. They show us things we're not ready to see when we're awake. But they can also be kind. They give us second chances, a chance to say goodbye, or to try something again, or to feel brave for just a moment. Let's talk about dreams and culture. Even today, there are places where dreams are a big part of life. In some parts of Papua New Guinea, people gather every morning to share their dreams. In some Native American groups, dreams are seen as messages from the spirit world. In West Africa, the Ashanti people believe dreams can guide decisions, warn of danger, or bring luck for the day ahead. Around the world, there are dream interpreters, dream books, and dream ceremonies. It's a reminder. Dreams aren't just private. Sometimes they belong to the whole group. Even in modern cities where people are busy and screens are everywhere, dreams still slip into life. They show up in art, in music, in movies. Think about how many songs mention dreams, how many books start with a strange dream, how many movies use dreams to show what a character wants, or fears, or hopes for. It's like dreams are the secret language of the mind, always bubbling under the surface. And here's something weird. Sometimes dreams inspire real change. There are inventors who say their best ideas came in sleep. Artists who see their paintings in dreams before they touch a brush. Writers who wake up with a story in their heads. Even scientists sometimes get answers in their sleep. It's almost like the dreaming mind is a different person, someone who sees things more clearly or less afraid to try something new. But why does the brain do this? Some scientists think it's just practice. The brain runs through problems, tries out answers, and learns from mistakes in a safe space. Others say dreams are like a junk drawer, where the mind sorts out all the loose thoughts and throws away what it doesn't need. But these ideas don't explain why dreams feel so meaningful, or why the same dream can haunt someone for years. Let's look at the other side. Some people almost never remember their dreams. Others remember everything, in bright colour and sharp detail. Some people have nightmares every night. Others float through happy scenes. Why is that? Nobody can say for sure. There are hints, age, stress, even what you eat can play a part. But the rules are never clear. Some people go years without a single dream they remember, then suddenly have one that changes everything. There's another piece of the puzzle. Some animals dream. 2. Watch a dog twitch in its sleep, or a cat move its paws like it's hunting. Scientists have watched rats run mazes in their dreams. Birds dream of songs. That means dreaming is older than humans. It goes back millions of years, maybe even before language. But only humans seem to tell stories about their dreams, or paint them on walls, or build rituals around them. Why is that? What does it say about us? Maybe dreams are part of what makes us human. Not just the act of dreaming, but the urge to share them, to turn them into art, or music, or legend. To gather round a fire and say, "You won't believe what I saw last night." It's possible that early humans built their first stories from dreams, the first myths, the first heroes, the first monsters, all born in the space between sleep and waking. That's why the mystery matters. It's not just about what we dream, but what we do with those dreams. The caves are long silent now, the fires have gone out, but the urge to wonder, to ask, what did that mean? That hasn't faded. Let's go one step deeper. Maybe dreams are a bridge. They link the past and the present, the living and the dead, the known and the unknown. When you dream about someone you lost, it's like they visit you for a moment. When you dream of a place you've never seen, maybe it's a message from your mind or something stranger. Maybe dreams are the place where time falls away, and everyone who's ever lived can meet for a little while. That's just one idea. There are others. Some people say dreams are nothing but random sparks, a side effect of sleep. Others say they're the key to the soul. Some think dreams are memories from another life. Others say dreams are just the leftovers of the day. The truth is, nobody has proof. But the questions keep coming. That's what makes the mystery so powerful. It's not the answers, it's the search. Every time someone wakes up and remembers a dream, the puzzle grows. Every time someone tries to paint what they saw, or write it down, or share it with a friend, the mystery deepens. And maybe that's the point. Maybe dreams aren't supposed to be solved. Maybe they're meant to keep us curious, to pull us forward, to make us wonder what else is out there. Maybe dreams are the part of us that never stops exploring. So the next time you wake up from a dream that makes no sense, or one that feels more real than life, remember, this is the mystery that links you to every human who's ever lived. There are questions we may never answer. Why do we dream? Why do they matter? What are they trying to tell us? Nobody knows for sure. Maybe we're not supposed to. But one thing is clear. Dreams are part of what makes life rich and strange. They're a reminder that even in the middle of the night with nothing but darkness around you, your mind is still traveling, searching, hoping, and creating. That's something worth holding on to. The caves, the stories, the paintings, the songs, they all began in the world of dreams. That world hasn't gone anywhere. It's still waiting every night behind your closed eyes. And the mystery, it's still there, just out of reach, calling you back, night after night.